We are live here right as America continues to burn for another night. Our cities are on fire. We have protests in Atlanta, but what we're going to be watching mainly right now is the Chaz in Seattle. This is a live feed from the Chaz, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. I think I got that right. It is a really strange phenomenon that's happened actually before, but not this scale, not this notoriety. We're going to keep monitoring this sort of stuff. That's why these broadcasts are really going to just be about anarchy, because that's what we're seeing in our cities. But I'll give my quick take on the Chaz, and then we can just dive right into it. But I think these things are going to become a bigger deal. I think you're going to see them in many cities across America, many left-wing, far-left, radical liberal cities, because they allow these to happen. And as long as they allow them to happen, they're going to keep happening until something really violent happens, which is probably inevitable. But we're going to keep monitoring these because it's very interesting what's happening. This is sort of a Marxist kind of revolution that's happening in the country. Antifa is really showing up in force with guns, with knives, with bats, all kinds of stuff. But according to CNN, this is all just peaceful protesters, and it's a bastion of free speech, which is what one of them said as he was literally being kicked out of one of these. But these are fascinating to follow, and we're going to keep watching them. What do you guys think of it? Who wants to start off?
Well, I can't help but agree with you, but I with most of your point there, but I honestly think we're seeing like a speed run of all these bad ideas. And I mean, say what you will about people at large, but people are generally not stupid for the most part. I would like to think anyway, in groups obviously, but individually, people are going to look around, and I think more of these are going to pop up, but I don't think, I think it's the wave is going to break much earlier than it seems like it's going to at this point. That's pretty much my take at this point.
If I'm Trump, I let this happen.
Yeah,
right. I let all of this happen. I'm like, look, you want because it's in liberal cities. They're the only places these things are happening, like Seattle. You're talking about liberal. You've got a Democratic mayor. You've got Democrat council. You got, it's not good. It's not good. It's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for them. One way or another, it's not going to end well for these people that are doing this Antifa stand mess. But, I mean, they're going to remember it in November. They really are.
Well, I think it's going to be it's going to still be here in November.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I still think there'll be some remnants. Yeah.
I don't know. I think one of the cities, like if it starts going into multiple cities or whatever, or even then, I think one of these cities Trump is going to unleash. Like he's going to unleash the feds on one of these cities right before the election too. It's going to be right before the election because he's going to want to show everybody that I'm kind of king shit around here. But he's letting this thing go, like and it's wise. He's letting them run their show. He's letting it burn to the ground to say, oh, see, I told you, these Dems don't know how to run a fucking city or a state or whatever. And then right before the election, he'll come in and he'll sweep like a fucking phoenix, and then that'll be it.
I'd be careful with Trump taking action right before the election, because depending on what happens, it could be spun in a number of ways. I think the best way to deal with this would be to just let it go and happen, and then if they go and come back crying, hey, Trump, we need your help, then send in the guard.
Look, if this thing is still happening by November, oh yeah, they're going to be crying like a motherfucker. Absolutely, they're going to be crying.
I actually think that the goal is to get Trump to react.
Yes.
Because military force against American people I mean, that can be framed so bad so many ways, dude.
They wanted it to be another Waco.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
hasn't hit yet. Like it really, even the shock value, even some of the people that are like there, like that live there or own businesses, I don't think it's really hit from the kind of perspective that would get Trump to act. Like I like, but if it goes all the way to look, it's June right now. So if it lasts all the way to November, that means yeah, I don't even think they'll be crying by they'll be crying by August.
Well,
I think they'll be crying by August.
We're already seeing ones being, attempting to start up in Portland, in I think North Carolina. There's a bunch of cities where these things are trying to start up, and I don't know how many will start up, but I do know there will be more. It's gonna be in probably Portland, probably in California, probably a lot of, maybe Minneapolis, because there's nothing fucking left of that city. Maybe even Atlanta, who knows? But these little zones will pop up everywhere. It's kind of, as goofy as it was when the governor or the mayor, oh God, we could talk about her for hours, the mayor of Seattle. Trump is like criticizing this, saying basically terrorists have taken over your city, which is true. And she's like, no, we're fine. And on CNN, she says, oh, it might be the summer of love. Summer of fucking love? There's rape, murder, probably murder, happening in these things. I mean, there's already reports of rape. It's anarchy.
I will say, though, if a murder happens, he'll go in. If a murder happens, and if it's on television, if it's one of those really, if it's famed enough, like if it's on the news, then he'll probably act. Because then once a death happens, that'll be like, oh, she's totally lost control of this thing. I'm coming in, right? And that'll give him the green light. Like, I think because nobody, like, we haven't heard anybody die yet. I think that's kind of like, okay, well, we could just kind of sit back and let this thing unravel as it will. But yeah.
I mean, again, I don't think that the powers that are moving the pieces here are above. I mean, look what they didn't kill George Floyd per se, but the way they've elevated him, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, I mean, I don't see. There's probably murders happening already.
Yeah,
I would imagine. I mean, maybe not. But
did you guys see that there's a SoundCloud rapper named Raz? It's like the fucking warlord of this place.
Oh yeah, Chaz. Yeah, he's that's an interesting timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, so you're going to replace democracy with authoritarianism? Is that where we're going? Is that where we're going with this?
Dude's got the most guns and the most homies, and
and the most mixtapes.
Yeah,
it's like an episode of The Walking Dead over here. It's like when society falls apart, you see this sort of shit. I think it's best just to go and wait till it goes out. Like, just give it a few minutes, not minutes, but like give it a few weeks. I honestly don't think this would last much more than maybe a month before they're gonna run out of supplies. Or something.
Yeah.
They're gonna.
Well, they've already been asking for them. Did you see the signs they put up? They're like, "Oh, we need vegan food. We need this."
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to be a dick, just build a blockade around the whole thing.
Build a wall.
Right? You really wanted to be an asshole. Like, you build a blockade around the whole, that whole thing.
An actual border, like the border wall Trump was talking about in Mexico, just build it around the 6 blocks in Seattle.
Yes, yes.
No, but did you guys hear about the Fortran Operation Homeless or whatever, where they were trying to get homeless people to go to the Seattle homeless people to go to
and take the food.
Autonomous zone. Well, yeah, I mean, it's free. Everything's free. Like, everyone's welcome. So it would force them to either A, enforce borders, or B, enforce some kind of immigration policy. Well, I guess it would be the same thing. But
that's what they should do. Is they should go and get like buses from other cities, like from DC, from New York, and have
San
drive
Francisco.
Straight out of fucking South Park. I'm telling you, dude. everything in life can be found in the South Park episode at this point.
Well, what's genius about that 4chan operation is that Seattle has a shit ton of homeless people, so they could just go like block after block, like, hey, you want some food? Follow me.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's Seattle basically is a carbon copy of San Francisco. Like they're like a couple of weeks behind San Francisco.
Yeah,
like
a little rainier.
Yeah, it's a lot more rainier, but like say the same shit. Like you go over there and it's like it's a place that used to have all these nice restaurants or whatever, but all these restaurants, a lot of them are going out of business. You got a lot of homeless. You got needles and homeless shit all over the streets. Yeah.
She just muted herself again.
What was that?
Go ahead, Alex. No, go ahead, Alex.
Watching the chat, the slam dunk slammer dude's calling us racist.
Oh shit! I was gonna open up the chat. Well, but speaking of racism, I want to mention something real quick. This is what I was actually looking for on my phone. It says that in the Chaz in Seattle, this person on Twitter, and there's a video where they're trying to adopt a white privilege tax, making white people each give $10 to a black
$10 to a yep. I mean, that's no crazier than white people kneeling and washing random black people's feet. Or kneeling and apologizing for their white privilege to a random.
Dude, this is fucking
African-American.
worse because they're actually giving them something. It's
I
insane.
don't think it is because when you kneel and you fucking apologize for something that you didn't do, that is giving something up. It's arguably worse than money. Money can be re-earned.
Yeah.
That fucking respect, that self-respect, that respect from those people.
That's true.
You ain't gonna get that back.
Like if you want to join, if those people want to join the liberals, go for it. Join them.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want them. I don't want them on my side. Like, look, you're weak. I don't want you on my side. Get over there.
Well, you know what we should do is we should go and have it so that the liberals working in Silicon Valley, they contribute 10% of their income to this.
Yes.
Because like, have you ever heard of this app called Blind?
No.
It's this
Nope.
one. It's like a social media thing for people who work in like the tech industry. I somehow found my way onto it. But there are these fuckers out there making like $500,000 like working at Facebook and shit a year.
Wow.
You know, they should have these, and these people are the ones that need to be fucking donating to all their shit. They should go donate half their income to fucking Black Lives Matter. You know, put your money where your mouth is. Like a lot of these people, even on there, they don't even agree with all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have a question actually for the viewers because
There she is.
I have a friend. I promise I won't share the video, but they sent me a picture of an email with links to donate to Black Lives Matters from their corporate company.
Jesus.
So I'm curious of how many other people are getting these kind of emails from their corporate companies, from their employers. I haven't had that email with a link in it before.
And is that legal? Because they are
Oh,
a PAC,
no.
like BLM. That's a PAC, right?
When
You're talking about because go to the Black Lives Matter site and then go donate, right?
Oh,
It takes you to Act Blue.
Are you sure that like that? Because here's the thing with Black Lives Matter. If I understand this correctly, it's like anonymous things.
Well,
you know, you have someone take the name of Black Lives Matter and say donate to me, and it just goes to his fucking paycheck. But I don't think there is one Black Lives Matter website. Now, to be fair, you know, most of these people probably are Democrats, but I don't think that you could necessarily say that because it is its website, like its organization, it doesn't have an organizational structure apparently.
Well,
like,
it does.
Well,
and it doesn't.
but it does though.
Yes.
There's two parts to it.
Yes.
There's the actual Black Lives Matter movement of the people on the street, and there is an actual Black Lives Matter organization that's funded, that it raises money, and does what with it I don't know, but I know at least originally George Soros was a funder.
Act Blue screen. It takes you to Act Blue screen.
Yep.
Democratic
Instantly. That money is going straight to the Democratic Party.
Yeah. It's like John the Fourth, not the King, said in the chat, that money goes to Share Blue, that money goes to Dems. Exactly. The black, like, I keep forgetting your name because you're new. Apex, I'll call you. Like he said, there is the people on the ground.
The gamma.
To be fair, like, so Act Blue is actually, it's like an intermediary Like
It's a
Act
middleman.
Blue is the platform that basically these Democrat campaigns use to they use that Act Blue platform to collect money from other people, like for their campaigns or whatever. But here's the thing: I was looking at the terms of service for it, and they say any money not used after a certain time will be redistributed. Right.
Oh, well, they are good at redistributing the wealth.
Right. So
isn't that
So
illegal though?
Oh, hi, Sam.
I mean, it could be like, and this is what I'm saying. If you give donate, this is what I'm saying. If you're donating money to BLM, are you donating it to the the Black Lives Matter global network? And if you are, then that's a PAC because
I
they're
think
going
it's
through Act
illegal.
Blue.
I think it's illegal because Tom responded to Candice about this when she posted on Twitter, Judicial Watch, and he's looking into it. So I think it's illegal, especially if he's looking into it. He's like, yeah, this doesn't look legal.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, first of all, Tom Finn does great work. Shout out to him. But that is this is what I've been trying to explain to people, and this will be a good way and segue into the Chappelle thing. Black Lives Matter is a totally organized movement that it's a sort of operational movement in the DNC. This is not just some organic grassroots shit. Maybe it might have kind of started that way, but it's not.
I don't know. I think it is on a local level.
No, well,
I think on
honestly,
a local level, I think it is. But the top, the top, there's like a top organization that's like crooked as hell, and then you have like a whole bunch of. And then you have like a whole bunch of local, like a local organizations that are just trying to actually, do their thing.
They might have been something different before Black Lives Matter, but look, these we all know these cop shootings are a freak incidents. They're very small. Gavin McGinnis had some good stats on this I'll bring up in a second, but nobody cared about this till we were told to care about it. And then all of a sudden, there's Black Lives Matter. It is totally engineered. It's just something the Democrats looked at and said, this is a great way to create racial division, to rally minorities to us, and buy votes, and have another activist arm in the DNC. I heard you want to say something, Donnie?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that, remember we pulled the information about Sean King and his Twitter feed talking about the Democrats? I think we have an answer why he did it now, because he's been attacked for people are talking about him not handling the financials correctly now, and I'm seeing stories about that. That might be a reason why they're probably trying to take Black lives, since it's going straight to DNC. I think they just want to get rid of someone, and I think he probably is speaking out because they're trying to say he wasn't handling money correctly. He wasn't paying taxes. So that's probably why he's speaking out now.
Wow.
My personal opinion, what I've gathered from all my conversations on the internet and with people in real life in my rural little community, some of them literally have white power tattooed on them, mind you. Some of them barely speak English. But anyway, mostly through speaking with my super liberal, rich, white friend that I've referenced before when talking on the show.
Yeah.
I really do think that I would say at least 50, if not 60% of the people you see footage of out in the streets freaking out, they believe what they're out there for. There is an actual movement of these people that believe that there's victimization on a systemic level against either their skin color or a skin color that they're not, that they feel they need to stand up for. I do think that it's a real, these people are having, but that's the whole thing, that's the point rather, is the ploy is playing on people's actual emotions, because you can't, it's so hard to disarm that when someone has a preconceived notion or brainwashing of any level, really. But if they think the sky is blue when it turns green, it's hard to convince them that it was ever blue after
Well, it's straight up
X amount of time.
Alinsky
You know what I'm saying?
tactics. They took an issue, they
Yeah,
personalized it with these incidents, they tapped into emotions, they pitted race against race, and this is what you have. I mean, it's totally engineered shit. And like people are saying in the chat, I mean, there was they're talking about Soros funding this stuff. There was a fantastic Project Veritas video out recently where they caught somebody literally saying Soros is funding Antifa, and that Antifa is looking for funding from Tom Steyer, who is the guy that started Next Gen, which is a far left climate change activist group that's we've seen on campuses that would nag us register to vote, but they just hate Trump. That's pretty much all they are.
Which I actually have a funny story about that too, sort of. So as you guys may or may not know, my brand, if you will, for the Whitfield Report is called Next Gen Conservative, which I came up with years ago. It's kind of like how Rush Limbaugh has the EIB network and Alex Jones has InfoWars, so to speak. I have Next Gen Conservative. Anyway, I guess a few college kids somehow stumbled upon my page thinking that they were going to find Next Gen, and they were furious that my page came up instead, because oh my god, Next Gen is peddling right-wing propaganda now.
Yo.
We got about those fuckers.
But
we do.
But so we might need to reform that banner again just to mess with them. I kind of like it, but anyway, I don't mind reading your guys' chat here. You have a couple good comments. So John did say something like, also Soros funds the campaigns of local DAs, these people who decide if to press charges and crimes like corruption. This is why Soros groups get away with murder. And I don't know, Sean, if you caught my show just now, but I basically said that Trump ought to use the Patriot Act and look into George Soros's fund.
Yes.
I think. And I mean, hell, if we're going to have a Patriot Act, if we're going to have a Patriot Act which is unconstitutional, we might as well use it to sweep up some of these dirt bags. So.
Is Soros a U.S. citizen?
No, but
I'm sure he probably bought his citizenship years ago.
Yeah,
but
bought a green card.
But again, we're talking about the CIA and all the intelligence agencies. I mean, if we can spy on our allies, why don't we spy on people who are trying to literally ruin this country? So.
I just don't know if we'd be at I don't know. I don't know if they'd be close enough, if they'd be able to go and help them with that. Because you saw how aggressive these people are to the Trump admin.
I mean, that's what the Drain the Swamp tagline was all about. But I mean,
I think they're scared. Like this whole craziness is going on. I think the Dems are scared.
Yeah.
Because if Trump wins, I think some shit's gonna come out.
Well, I actually agree with you, and that was kind of the point I was sort of alluding to earlier. As far as these autonomous zones continuing to pop up and this shit continuing to go, this basically, more or less, all of this does play into Trump's hands in the greater scheme. I mean, regardless of this panel, the people I talk to, most people don't really like the things he says, but that's not what's important. As Americans, adults that have bills to pay and mortgages and shit, business owners, they like him. They respect him. They want him to do a good job. Now, the younger people, it's very much opposite, because I don't know. I really do think. I think it was Joe Rogan recently said when he was talking to Crystal and Sagar that social media, what did he say? it like aids mental illness or something, or it like enhances mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah,
Because
I agree with that too. Yeah,
I do
would say that
too.
same thing.
Yeah.
I just think I think it's beyond that. I think it magnifies people in general. Like it magnifies what you already are. Like if you're a good
Yeah.
person, it can magnify how good of a person you are. If you're an asshole, it can magnify how big of an asshole you are, right? And everything in between.
Mhm.
I think, but like what you were talking about, like with you know, with Trump and some of the people that don't like his tweets. I think that people see him as somebody that doesn't put in a whole lot of time to, you know, say the right things or whatever. They see that as a good thing because that takes work. Like that takes
Huh.
work to be like polished and you know, say the right things at all the right times with all the right positions and all that. And that's work that could be used serving the people, right? That's work
Yeah.
that somebody could use helping the economy, helping, you know, solve foreign, you know, relations issues. That's something that, you know, they could use um toward trade negotiations or whatever, you know, and
Yeah.
there's
Well-
there's a lot that goes on with being the president of the United States. And it's like, well, for every minute that you're spending rehearsing a speech is a minute that you could be using, you know, with one of these million other tasks that you're trying to do. And he understand, like Donald Trump understands that. It's like, no, I don't care. I don't care if I get yelled at for saying the wrong tweet. It's like, look, we got shit to do. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I can add on that personally.
Mhm.
I mean, I just started Wharton's Business College summer session.
Yeah, congrats.
And I mean, seeing that President Trump went there, I mean, each video I see, I can see how, you know, the professors who taught him what he knows in business and, you know, how to make deals, I can see why he tweets and speaks the way he does, because they don't, you know, when it comes down to business and you're in a negotiating room, all bets are off, and, you know, political correctness has left the room, and what you're there to do is to seal the deal and just go on and state the facts. Like, there's no small talk, there's no, trying to appease the other side, because most likely, if you're trying to appease the other side, you just give the whole business over to them so they wouldn't have another competitor.
That's very well said.
Yeah. And that's the thing too,
Like,
because I
he
see
speaks like an absolute businessman. He's not. This isn't, you know, the president where it would be, you know, they would be basically an English major or like a communications major where everything that they did was, you know, down to the last detail and they checked over it themselves. They just want to get their own message out and make sure that they're saying what is true, basically. And, you know, that's what he's trying to tell us. But these people, you know, they obviously don't believe in sound logic, and when they hear the truth, they obviously don't want to listen.
yeah.
It's emotion, dude. It's all it's so emotion heavy. That everything that's happening right now. That's
Mhm.
the thing that I have gathered. And I try to explain this to my friend of 15 years who knows me so well but still continues to call me a racist and a white supremacist. Just I don't know it. He thinks that he knows more about me than I do because of
Hey,
the conversations
I'm
we're
not.
having
I don't
lately.
even pay attention. If somebody calls anybody a racist anymore, I just ignore them completely because it's like that term has been worn down so much. It's like,
But that's kind of the point, though, is this
Yeah.
is my friend and I care a lot
Yeah.
about this dude,
Yeah.
and he's actually a smart person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's why these arguments have persisted, because
But-
I have to break through that fucking
but
thick skull of
it's
his.
not so much that, but it's not so much that it's like smart or dumb. It's like they're emotionally tied
Mhm.
to the point where it kind of, you know, it compromises reality. It's
Absolutely.
you've been so emotionally invested in a said topic or in a said opinion that it's like you've completely separated yourself from reality in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, can the people in my city just like chill for like 2 seconds?
Is the Wendy's
Like,
still
just
on
for
fire?
2 seconds. Yeah,
Jesus, yeah.
because they won't let the fire brigade get in.
Well,
Because
yeah,
There's a
apparently,
motherfucking
that's part of
raccoon.
that's a part of systematic racism. You know,
Systemic racism.
yeah.
Get it
whatever
right,
is.
Yeah.
bigot.
Do they even know what systemic means? Like,
No.
do they know that it's not? In order for something to be systemic, it has to be sustained through a period of over 100 years without breakage in a singular person. No singular person has carried it through the presidential office, so how can it be systemic?
Well, Scott Adams is doing an interesting challenge on Twitter. He says, I'm going to give people 7 days a week to give me an example of systemic racism. Because Scott Adams is kind of, I can tell he basically doesn't buy it, but he's kind of giving people the chance to prove him wrong. And every time somebody brings up an example, 9 times out of 10, it's just racism. It's just somebody being racist. It's not a entire system that is working to keep a certain group down for like 100 years.
I'll say that with the Georgia situation, with the Atlanta fire or whatever, and these protests, I wonder how much shit the Georgia governor is going to take, because that's a Republican governor.
Well, it comes down to the mayor. It comes down to the mayor.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how much shit do you think he's going to take as far as
he's gonna? So basically, how it's set up here in Atlanta, seeing as I live closer, more next to the governor's mansion, and it sort of goes from like, they don't really, it's actually really funny. The people of Atlanta don't directly go to the mayor of Atlanta or even hold her accountable for everything that's happening in her city. They immediately go to the governor, which has to wait for the mayor to do something because he cannot go in there without her approval.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so they blame the governor, even though the mayor's fully responsible.
It's because he's a Republican.
Appoints whoever goes into Atlanta.
You
PD.
can, as a governor, you can go in. It just is it's a more difficult process when the mayor isn't cool with it. Yeah. But I'm saying, here I'm saying, this governor wasn't playing no fucking games though. Like, look at the Ahmaud Arbery situation, right? As soon as that shit hit the airways, he's like, get the GBI involved. No, I'm not playing this fucking game. And like, I think you might see that, because my opinion of this Georgia governor, it looks like he doesn't play. He's not a game player. Like, you should
have seen his campaign commercial.
Yeah,
it rustled some feathers. I mean, so the campaign commercial was basically like, so he has a daughter, right? Mm-hmm. And so the campaign commercial was his daughter's boyfriend coming over to pick her up for dinner, and he had a 12-gauge shotgun. He was like, no, you don't do anything to her, you hear? He was like, yes, sir. And he was like, I'm Brian Kemp, I'm running for Georgia governor. I was like, that's a solid commercial.
Oh yeah.
I saw another commercial that Tucker played on his show earlier this week. It's some like Republican gubernatorial candidate. I think it's for like North Carolina, or I can't remember which state it is specifically, which is bad because I should know. But anyway, this candidate is a woman, and she's a Republican, and same thing. She basically like comes out of her door with a shotgun and says, "If Antifa wants to come into my state when I'm a governor, click. We're gonna have problems."
Fuck yeah. See, that's the sort of shit Republicans need to do. Be a badass. Be a strong leader.
Look at
Well,
Miami. You remember? Did you see any of the film going on with the protests? There was something like that mayor of Miami who is a Republican. He wasn't putting up with no shit either. He had like that there were some protesters that were trying to beat the shit out of a cop car, and the fucking a whole bunch of armored police fucking came in and completely sank that situation in a hurry. Like look, I'm telling you, that these people only attack Democrat areas. They only attack them because they're weak and feckless, and they're easy targets. They're not going to mess around with that shit. Like in Atlanta, I mean, grant you, the last time a Republican was mayor of Atlanta was like in the fucking 1800s or some shit. But yeah, seriously, I'm dead serious. I think it was like 18. So I think it might have been the Civil War. I think the Civil War may have been the last time. But yeah, but you got a Republican governor that is not play. It doesn't look like he's going to be playing games. And keep in mind, all this stuff is just happening right now. So I'm almost positive that this mayor is probably getting a call going with the governor going, "What the fuck? Get a hold of this shit right now."
I swear this SWAT officer looks like he's wearing hockey pads.
It's like when the Dark Knight, when Batman says,
You
"I'm
need to
not
come
wearing
in-
hockey
No,
pads."
you need to come in you need to come in with a whole bunch of big freaking armored people. Come in like the fucking wrath of God. Like I will sweep in like a fucking phoenix and close this shit immediately.
Well, I think
Also-
Alex was saying, like, especially from the federal level, they need to be careful with that because they're waiting for them to do that. Like, that's the whole sort of bait they're putting out here. They got these people to riot, they got them to loot, and if you let it wait out, these people will feel this shit. It will stay in the headlines. People need to see this, see the destruction that's happening by Black Lives Matter and Antifa in Democrat cities, and then maybe when you absolutely need to, send in the savior that is to Trump and the National Guard and the military and all that jazz. But what's also interesting is I'm gonna check on a feed in Atlanta and put that up here, but I saw like a few hours ago, like when Black Lives Matter blocked the traffic on the highway, and there were thousands of cars jammed up there, and as the reporter was there, and the barricade was broken, and they got the protesters off the highway. They go, "Oh, thousands of people are now getting through," and I immediately thought, thousands of people just became Republicans because they're feeling that shit. And that's what's so stupid about these forms of protest. I mean, as sometimes slick the Democrats can be in their devious tactics, this is just stupid because you're literally, by allowing this to happen, this doesn't hurt Trump. This fucking turns people off. It turns them red. It turns them Republican. Like, I don't want to deal with this shit.
It's so funny you mentioned that though, Sean, because I have an uncle on my stepmother's side of the family, so technically, like, we're not related, but whatever. And he, for as long as I've known him, which has been probably for about like 15 years now, he's always been a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, and it drives me crazy because he served in the Gulf War. He owns guns and he likes to watch football on Sunday, and he's always been a big liberal. And it's always baffled me because I'm like, dude, you're Republican in the way you live. You just, for whatever reason, vote Democrat. Well, on Friday, he actually said that he has turned to the dark side, quote unquote, and he re-registered as a Republican. And he said one of the reasons, he said, I still don't like Trump. He said, and I probably never will. He said, but he said this riot shit has gotten out of hand. And he said, and plus the cancel culture of all of these TV shows and video games
Oh,
and
it's so
like
stupid. Like
and whatnot.
Cops gets canceled. Gone with the Wind
Dude,
isn't on HBO. What
Paw
the fuck?
Patrol?
Yeah,
Fucking
Paw
Paw
Patrol.
Going after
Patrol?
fucking Paw Patrol? Like, what the hell?
My girls love that show.
Well, weren't they calling that like a fascist cartoon like not too long ago?
Yeah,
I saw a video on that.
but it's
Uh,
like which I mean I actually want to ask Donnie about that real quick. Because one of the articles that I read, it was an op-ed, and it was clearly written by some like white academic, and it was saying that like black people get triggered by cops or whatever. But I've never heard of a black person getting upset by cops or law and order. But then again, I'm not part of the community either, so
Well,
I'm kind of not either. But I will say that I think everyone gets triggered when they see a police officer. They'll slow
Yeah.
down and hit the brakes. I think it's everyone. It's not a race thing.
yeah, I do. If I see
Well,
lights blinking behind my car, I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do?
Well,
now?
Yep, time to
no,
go
no.
5 below the speed limit.
well, no, I meant the show cops, not. I mean, yeah.
Oh.
everyone-
Oh, bad boys, cops.
Oh, no,
Oh,
listen. Oh, go ahead, Donnie. Go ahead, Donnie.
I guess they're
Oh.
saying that, like, people hate the show, is what I'm saying.
They're
So,
just trying to tell people to hate this show. That's what they're doing.
yeah.
Well, I have to say, I was actually looking. It's so funny. When this argument with my friend first started a few weeks back, I started digging for this live PD clip that I watched on TV a few weeks prior to that of this high-speed chase through this fucking dense neighborhood. I mean, 90 plus miles an hour at points, whipping around 90-degree turns. Turns out it was a young black lady with a toddler in the car that was not strapped into anything. Like, she stepped out of the car and the toddler comes fucking waddling out in his diaper. Well, the white cop
Oh
and
my
his fucking
God.
his five white buddies were like, you can go home. We're not going to let you drive home, but you can go home. We don't want to separate you from your child. I'm like, holy shit, systemic racism, if I've ever fucking seen it.
Well, before
sorry.
we transition
Sorry.
to the Chappelle thing, no, that's a good point. I'll bring up some stats that Gavin McGinnis was talking about in his Telegram. And he said, American police have 395 million interactions a year. So 400 million interactions in a year. In 2019, 10 unarmed black people were killed by police, only 2 of which were not attacking the police. In those 2 cases, the police were arrested. What the fuck is the world writing about? Is there a job with a more perfect record than 2 in 395 million? My calculator can't even display what a tiny percentage that is.
That is an amazing point, dude.
Did either of you guys see the? Did any of you see the epic meltdown from the like the PBA head out in Philadelphia? I think it
Oh
was.
fuck! What happened in my hometown?
What is that? Pro Bull Riders Association?
No,
Oh,
the police. I think it's like it's basically like the police board association.
I did not. I just saw that a bunch of like good old boys were defending one of the statues or something in Philly, which is what we fucking need.
Well, no.
Oh,
so
you know
what
what's
happened-
amazing? Go ahead, Sammy. Sorry.
So what happened? I'll have to try and find this, but basically the head of the police board association, it's basically like the head of the police union, I think. And I think it was in Philly, at least. He sounded like he had a Philly accent. Basically, like, went on this rant and said, look, it's unfortunate that there are corrupt cops. It is unfortunate that, there are cases of abuse. But the vast majority of us are here to protect and serve. And it's a thankless job. And I'm actually going to... Let me try and actually find.
Are you sure it was Philly or New York? Because I think that it was like the head of the. He had a real New York accent and he was really digging it, like he was digging it and like.
I think it is
It
New
was
York. 'Cause I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might have been. It might have been New York. I can't tell the difference between New York accents and Philly accents.
There's a big
Sorry,
difference.
guys.
Philly's
But by
got
the
a
way-
slight accent, but New York is like way heavier.
By the way, let's stop to let people know. Bill de Blasio. Oh my God, he might be the worst fucking mayor ever in the
yeah.
history of mayors in the United States. Like the worst. And now you're trying to take $1 billion from the NYPD. Are you out of your fucking mind?
That's the worst.
The worst thing you could do.
Well, did you
Yeah,
see
well, because
even
the problem with the police brutality, and I've said this for years, is training and recruitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the wrong people being policed and the right people being trained the wrong way. Period.
Mhm.
Like that's what it is. They're operating in a war zone, in some cases, and they're being trained for a war zone in a fucking to operate in a peaceful zone, which is more rare. But I mean, black cops, white cops, Mexican cops, fucking Hawaiian cops, like they have
Hawaii
all killed
5-0.
people. They have all killed people, you know, on the job. Every fucking race that exists that lives in this country that is a police officer. I mean, it's sorry.
Yeah.
The argument over the numbers is what really gets me, because that's the hardest wall that I come up against, because as much time as I've spent on the internet, I can't cite enough numbers from enough places to make it sink in, because there's always some sort of counter article to whatever article I'm presenting. To greatly paraphrase, we'll say CNN versus a Fox News kind of thing. Like Fox News reports on something, CNN's report on that same thing. Well, we won't say Fox News, we'll say Tucker, because Tucker's the only thing that's worth watching on Fox News, in my opinion. They're all fucking garbage. But the problem that I keep having with especially in real life arguments, again, I think I brought up on this show that Hispanic girl that I work with that told me a story about her cousin that died, and she had this idea of a racist conspiracy. The cops just didn't tell anybody in her family that her cousin got hit by a car because they didn't want to, or whatever. Well, he was undocumented. He didn't have a license. He didn't have a social security number. He had a check in his pocket with someone's name on it and someone's address. He didn't speak English. How the fuck you know what I mean? But she has been pushing back lately, and she's quoting me numbers and shit. I'm assuming she's talking to family members who are also indoctrinated into this victim mentality, and that's the biggest thing. I can't speak to it. I'm white. I wouldn't consider myself privileged. I'm pretty squalid at 30 something years old. But you know, what I see and what I know is that feeling sorry for yourself at any level does you no good.
Yeah.
And that's all I see is a wellspring of it's handing out victim cards to, and it started with the trans people and the I mean, it started 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe even further back than that. But this whole race baiting thing certainly started under Obama. Black Lives Matter started under Obama, right?
Yeah.
So I want to actually shift gears just a smidge. Did anybody in this chat read the Medium article by the anonymous professor from Berkeley?
Nope, I haven't heard about that.
You said Medium?
Yeah.
That would require me to actually go on Medium to read that site.
Well, I don't go on Medium either, but I found the article pretty interesting because it was a pretty long read, but it was from a fellow professor at Berkeley, replying to Professor X and Y. I don't know who exactly he's talking to, or he or she is talking to, but they're speaking as a black person. And it's I found it, I don't know, I found it resonated with me because it's a lot of the points that I'm trying to make much more articulate. And well put. Because I mumble a lot and I don't. Again, I'm kind of an idiot. I'm kind of retarded,
as Alex Jones
might say.
said.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you don't want to be politically correct.
Yes.
Well, no, I'm not. Anyway.
Well, I guess Shovel Point in the chat read it, and he or she says the professor nailed it. So, but
right, exactly. You guys should all read it.
Okay.
I posted it on my Twitter. It's very good.
Cool.
It's about a 8-minute read or so. But
check it out.
I sent you guys the clip of the New York City Police Board chief. So I don't know if you guys can play that on here, but it is worth watching. I definitely think.
Well, I will say, before we switch gears to the Chappelle things, that's something we need to touch on. Big news on a personal side for our channel. We officially broke 200 subscribers. We hit the mark.
We've been growing. We've been growing at a pretty good rate.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys, the ones that that are actually listening to us. It's like it's a pleasure. I mean this thing and it's all you all you guys that that are doing this with us too. But we're just having fun. This is I don't know if we do this thing and I'm just having a good old time.
I'm not.
I do.
I have
sub just to be a dick.
I have to thank DONI personally real quick for resurrecting my Twitter account from the dead. DONI, I don't know. I don't know what you did, but I am no longer screaming into the void anymore. As of today, people are actually like reading my tweets and actually like replying to them and whatnot. So I don't know if you unshadow banned me, but thank you, I guess. So.
Well, like, you're totally welcome. Maybe there's some people working in Twitter who are conservatives secretly, and they're trying to help us out.
Yeah, we could have man or two on the inside.
You never know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. My Twitter account, just like my YouTube account, we're all kind of shit posting. I mean, my Twitter was just an extension of my YouTube account as it started, and I met Sam through the Owen Benjamin nonsense that I used to do, which I will forever be tied to. I can't escape that. But I find, because I don't have a Facebook. I had a MySpace like 15 years ago.
Wow, boomer.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm over 30 years old, man. So
you're a mega boomer.
I'm mega boomer for sure. But
boomer.
I'm type gamma boomer actually. No, but I never was interested in social media. I like talking to people, and I always saw the internet as fake and gay ultimately, because all I ever really dealt with was trolling in various forms outside of dealing with my immediate friends. But I'm actually enjoying. I've actually become quite passionate about the shit that's going on in the world, and what was the point? Oh yeah, Donnie and her extensive Twitter reach. I don't even know what the fuck Twitter is, but I'm interacting with people and it's fun.
Yeah, ours has been blowing up today too.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, and that's what I like about the podcasting format, and more so the live stream format now. I'm, as most people here know, like I'm an old school podcaster going back to like 2008, and I've gotten to see this medium really at the mall. Proudly, I will take the millennial boomer status, especially if you guys tuned in and saw I'm kind of dressed like a boomer too.
Hey,
no, you look handsome as fuck, man. You look handsome as fuck, Sammy. Shut up.
You look quite spiffy.
Well, thank you.
You have like 3 too many shirts on, but it's all right. Continue.
Boomer is a mindset. It is a way of life. You do not have to be above the age of 65 to be a boomer. You could be as young as me or as old as Phil. You could be anywhere in between.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
All you gotta rock is New Balances.
But anyway, I have to say, out of all the mediums out there, I think the live stream / podcast format is the least gay, because people
Well, there goes our demonetization again.
people actually talk to each other on here.
By the way, thanks YouTube for shadow banning us. Really appreciate it.
I wanted to talk about that actually.
So great. We were doing so great, right? Like that
Yeah.
last week, a whole bunch of people were listening to our stuff and the numbers were flying, right? And then all of a sudden our channel just gets shadow banned. Like you can't even find it. And
Yeah,
it's like,
You know what's funny is I'm on this stream with you guys, and I have the notification bell clicked, and I didn't get notified. I actually just looked a few minutes ago.
Neither did I. That's why I had to text you guys when you guys were going on.
Yeah, it just got like a day or two ago. It just got reinstated, it's just started reappearing.
Well, to explain it a bit more, what happened was normally when you would go to YouTube and you would search on YouTube Versa Media, we would be like one of the first things to pop up our channel, and you'd go to it. And it was, I think it was the first, like you have the screenshot, Phil. And as we were growing through the George Floyd live streams we've been doing, following the anarchy in these cities, at some point, and we all kind of noticed this at once, and I was about to post some in Discord, but one of you beat me to it. When you search Versa Media on YouTube, we didn't come up. Our channel did not come up. These other ones came up that were smaller sub counts, had nothing to do with it. But when you search Versa Media and let's say Milo, like for a specific video, for a specific guest, those things would come up, but the channel itself would not come up, even after that too. Our channel simply wasn't coming up on the YouTube search at all. You go to page after page, nothing. So, I mean, there's many cases in the past where you could have your conspiracy or guess or whatever that we were being shadow banned or subverted, but we didn't really have anything definitive of that matter. But this is the one case we've had so far that I can say we're definitively being shadow banned without doubt. There was some algorithm that got triggered, or somebody at YouTube was watching our small ass channel and just went boop, and now we're at 205
Somebody
subs.
flagged it, maybe.
What was that?
I was gonna say somebody may have flagged it too, or a couple people may have.
That's actually a good point. Somebody may have flagged, because we're getting a lot of people in chat, and you were saying that one dude, Slam Dunk Slammer, I think he said, was calling us racist, but he keeps like deleting every comment, so I don't know what he is. Maybe he did. I don't know.
I don't know about that, but I know, like, just lately, like for my personal life, I've been like banned off of Facebook too, and that was really weird situation with that, because I didn't even post a comment. I literally just reacted.
What was that? You went out right there. What was that?
Well, I said as soon as, like, my Facebook account, it's been banned, and as soon as I reacted to a Breitbart article, my account immediately got a message saying, you cannot access it. We need a form of identification from you, and that was right after the Breitbart article, not 2 seconds past that. That, like, I've heard and stuff, and I was like, oh, it couldn't happen to me because I'm a nobody on Facebook.
That's because Breitbart is hate speech.
I didn't even like. I did the angry face, and they did it for that. Like, what the hell's going on, Facebook?
Facebook, I'm not banned. You're banned. They just delete the whole app.
You should have just done what Owen does and screamed, "I'm not banned, you're banned." So,
But yeah, can we talk about how people on Twitter, how they're saying that the president isn't well because he's taking a little more time than usual going down a ramp at West Point because he is 75 years old, yet they won't talk about how Biden literally mistaked President Trump for himself. He said, we got to beat Biden.
Oh, I agree with him on that one.
Or for the fact that Obama aged.
Trying to take a sip of water, and just leave him alone.
Obama aged like fucking 15 years his first 3 years in office.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like visibly.
Well,
Trump
did you see?
Trump looks like the same fucking robot he was 12 years ago.
Did you see when all the Democrats were pandering to the African Americans by wearing these African scarves, and when they went into the house, they all went down on a knee and like had a moment of silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and then the funniest part was when Nancy Pelosi was trying to get up, she needed fucking assistance. Somebody had to come over and like help her. One person was texting during it, another was what were we gonna say, Nick?
Yeah, so there's that, but then the guy in like the black in the really sort of like really navy blue, like he was, if you looked at Nancy and then looked all the way back, there's a guy in a bright blue suit who's like almost at the very back. When he was down on his knee for like the first 45 seconds, he was like okay, but then once it reached like the first minute, he almost fell over. And I was like, okay, I gotta stop. Like this is too much.
Hey, Donnie, what did you think of that whole thing?
I laughed at them. I mean, they were pandering, and it was embarrassing. And one person standing up, one person can't get back up, another person
One person falling over.
Yeah, it was just, it's honestly it should be really embarrassing. I think people will probably see that and think, not cool, because my Instagram is not very like political. I posted that picture and people actually liked it who are not conservative. They're liberal. Who liked it and was like,
did you see Arsenio Hall posted something with the he posted because him and Eddie Murphy, like they did Coming to America, and then they had they had Nancy Pelosi and I forget what the other one that dressed up on either side, and he said Coming to America too. And I was like, the comments were funny too. You had one that was like, "Oh, so now are they honorary citizens of Zamunda?" Which is like the country that was on Coming to America. It was funny. It was really funny.
They look like
Wakanda was a real country.
Yeah, they look like they were fucking posing for an album cover in a couple of them pictures.
Marvel needs to contact them for the next Black Panther movie.
Yes.
Well, here's what I don't understand. How is that not considered cultural
appropriation? Yep.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was saying. I was like, oh my god.
That's my culture.
If Trump did that, if any Republican did that,
it'd be over. It'd be over.
Yeah, like he couldn't even walk up to the Bible.
If Melania Trump had like a tiger print fucking like outfit on, they would say that's cultural appropriation.
It would be great if Melania just posted on her Twitter, she's like, just got this coffee from Zimbabwe, really supporting the Black Lives Matter. While she's
what if
that Zimbabwe coffee was dug up by slaves and brought up there? You realize that Africa has a whole lot of fucking slaves over there right now.
No, it'd be funny if she said she got a coffee from South Africa.
No, I just imagined a tweet from someone with the last name Trump saying that they got coffee from Zimbabwe and they hope they don't get AIDS. Or something like that. What was that tweet? What was that tweet from that white lady? That joke tweet years ago. She can't get AIDS because she's white.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Luckily, I can't get AIDS because I'm white or whatever. Some teacher. Yeah, that was years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We actually talked about that in one of my classes, in my IST class of all fucking classes. What were you saying, Alex?
I was gonna say if she got that coffee from Zimbabwe, and she said, "Oh, I got this Rhodesian coffee today."
Oh my god, dude!
No, with the fucking leopard print she got from like fucking Joe Exotic's fucking zoo.
Yes.
No, in the new Netflix look.
Get it right, guys. It's not coffee anymore. It's kofefe.
Yes.
So.
That was an epic typo. Probably the most infamous typo in Twitter history.
Yeah, but no, I was just browsing through Twitter as I do, not really paying attention. Then I refresh, and I see that the Alamo is trending. I'm just like, oh,
I
what do
did
they have
see
to say
that.
about the Alamo? And there's things going around about Antifa coming to the Alamo, and then Democrats, of course, had to come in and say, who really cares about it? I'm just like, if you haven't grown up in Texas, then you don't really have a say about it, because you learn about that place from day one.
I will go Texas Revolution from way north of the fucking goddamn Red River if they start fucking with the Alamo.
Like, you want to try and dismantle and burn that place down? Sure, go ahead. It's already been done 10 times, and it's still there.
Listen, there will be way more than 200 American fucking patriots defending that site now in 2020.
Get out
than there were.
What's up?
Yeah.
We haven't brought up Dave Chappelle, but we keep hinting at it.
We do.
Oh yeah,
maybe that's why we're getting
Let's go.
disliked so much. But I will quickly
How many
say,
of y'all- how many of y'all
please
seen
like
it?
and subscribe if you haven't
I
already.
actually haven't seen it. Yeah,
Okay.
like and
I'm looking
subscribe.
up on Twitter right now.
Yeah, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're getting ratioed by some haters. Maybe that's because we brought up the fact that we broke 200 subs or that we were shadow banned. Maybe people want us to be shadow banned again, so
Whatever.
gotta fight
Keep
that.
Go ahead. Keep disliking our shit. I don't care.
Well, that'll technically push us down the list more, so
We're
don't
doing
keep
something
disliking.
right. We're doing
Yeah.
something right.
Yes.
I'm gonna find a way to transfer all of my Owen Benjamin subscribers
Here, I
over
think this
over
is
to
good.
Versa
You're
Media.
gonna migrate them, bring in some
Yeah.
refugees.
Great
Yeah.
observation.
But yes, we've
Well-
been hinting about the Chappelle thing, and it looks like plenty people staying tuned for it. If anybody hasn't seen it, Dave Chappelle dropped I wouldn't call it a special, but it's sort of a video that was released.
Netflix calls it a special.
Of course
Go ahead,
they
sorry.
did. Anything that comes on Netflix is a special now. But they had a video that came on that got uploaded to their YouTube channel. Their comedy YouTube channel, not even the main Netflix one, and it was Dave Chappelle sitting in front of this fireplace basically, and he wasn't cracking jokes. He was pretty much ranting and letting his mind speak, and
Sort of,
yeah,
oh, I was just gonna say, sort of like the Kevin Spacey Christmas videos.
oh my God, no.
You need one of those right now.
Yeah, I can
Just
pull
to, like,
that up.
No,
just be like,
no,
I'm here
we-
again.
no, we do not need Kevin Spacey.
No.
He needs another special.
But
Yeah, there's no children here, so there's no need to bring up Kevin Spacey here. So.
Yeah, we're
What
good.
did y'all
Let's
think
move
about
on.
the mask?
but
The-
I
What do we think
I
about
do
the
have
what?
that.
The mask the audience was wearing, and then Dave wasn't wearing a mask, but the audience.
Oh, that
wasn't
kid
wearing a
smoking that fucking Swisher Sweet ain't wearing a mask.
Well, yeah, that also was funny. Is some of these people had branded Chappelle masks, but Chappelle didn't have one. I guess, well, he's pretty much far enough away. I guess he didn't need to wear
He's
one, and he
low.
needs to smoke as usual. But he basically talked. I mean, the TLDR of it, if anybody hasn't seen it, I do recommend everybody sees it. But he came out pretty pro Black Lives Matter. He did criticize CNN a bit, but he had more brutal attacks on Candice Owens and Laura Ingraham than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Is
what do we
anyone-
think?
Is anyone really surprised though? I mean, I like the
No.
guy, but he is pretty liberal, and I've always said that like, look, I like his comedy, but just because he went, just because he got red pilled last year, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to stay red pilled.
Well, I
So-
think it's
Well,
because he is
listen.
a non-PC Democrat. I mean, he supported Andrew Yang. He supported Democrats in the past.
Yang
It didn't
gang.
really surprise me that he came out with this, but I was a little disappointed that he didn't seem like he really knew what he was talking about, which is something I rarely say of him. He really, believes there's systemic racism against blacks by cops.
And that's my biggest problem, and it's
Yep.
the hardest wall that I'm coming up against. Again, as a white man, I don't feel privileged compared to other white, blacks, Hispanics, Asian. I mean, all other races and colors you can imagine. But
Here's the
What I
issue,
s-
though. I think with the Democrats working with these celebrities and them saying things like this, I feel like the Democrats have uplift them and help them get to where they're at, and they may feel like they owe them something. They may actually owe them something, you know.
Katy Perry.
Which,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And actually, what I was kind of mumbling about there, the point that I was trying to say was that I feel like I don't think anyone is above like being duped into this, because it's such a deep emotional core idea, racism, and systemic racism and privilege and all these. They're so, it's like a perfect kinetic, combination, I guess, of emotional ideas for so many people. I mean, it is really, really dangerous from my standpoint,
Well,
not just for young Black people, but for all young people. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chinese money going through Hollywood, going through through the entertainment industry alone, you know, and so you don't and we know that the Democrats are in bed with the Chinese. We know that that you have to ride, if you don't ride a certain narrative, that they're going to cut you off, and that's it's on par. And of course, Dave Chappelle, he's kind of tied to Netflix, and Netflix is very Democrat, very liberal. I think one of the board members is Susan Rice, an old Obama lackey, and actually one of the finalists for Biden's VP spot. So that's leaning in a certain direction. I like Dave Chappelle. I think he's one of the funniest people around. But one thing I really didn't like, and if you want to critique Candice Owens, that's one thing. But talking about her stank pussy, I was like, I'm not too hot on that one.
Man, again, that seems like an emotional comedian's response. He would have said that about anybody that he thinks he doesn't have an actual argument against. He thinks they're playing word games, and the only way to counter that is to say something vile and seemingly funny.
Yeah.
And that's because I didn't watch the whole special, but I actually did watch a clip of it. It was probably 10 minutes long or something. Maybe that was the whole thing. I don't know.
What he did was wrong. It was disgusting. And if you think about how the mainstream media would act if a Republican man said that about a liberal woman, it would be blown up. It'd be crazy, especially if she was Black. Say something, say a conservative man said something about Stacey Abrams. Oh, no, that's not going to happen.
What did you think of the whole special as a whole?
I haven't seen it yet.
It wasn't a comedy.
It wasn't
comedy.
It wasn't a comedy, so it wasn't.
Yeah, I shouldn't have called it special. I'm falling in that trap again. But what did you think of the video
Yeah.
in general? Did you think he made any good points, or was it coming from the right place, or is this going to help or hurt things?
I think someone else wrote this for him and he did it. That's what I think.
I think he actually believes what he's saying, and I don't think it's a money thing, because he walked away from a huge deal with, I think, Comedy Central, right when the Chappelle show was peaking, and he stepped out and kind of had a brief bit of retirement. I don't think he cares about money. I don't think that's motivating him. I think he genuinely believes what he's saying. It felt that way, but I think he's completely misguided.
I agree. I think if you live in that area of Los Angeles, that sort of thing, you get this view of
Well, he lives in Ohio, or at least he used to.
Mm-hmm.
He used to live in a rural town, Ohio.
Yeah, he still
Really?
does.
Yeah, that was what was so fascinating. Is when he left the Chappelle show, passed on a big multi-million-dollar deal. He went to Africa for a bit, came back, lived in a small town, Ohio, which is one of the coolest things you could do, and I thought it would keep him grounded. But then I see this shit, and it makes no sense.
Maybe he's hanging out with buddies in LA again.
Well, keep in mind. So keep in mind, he got the message. He got Candice, like he said, he watched Candice Owens' video about how she didn't support
Yes.
George Floyd, and he didn't get the message. Like, he didn't get the message that Candice Owens was trying to relay. Like, she was saying that, you know, of course she wanted justice for George Floyd, make sure that, you know, he shouldn't have been killed, hopes that the family gets justice, but didn't support him because he was like, you know, he did some criminal shit, right?
Well, she doesn't think
And-
we should be
Yeah.
treating him as like a hero or
Right.
like a god.
And that was the point that she was trying to make. She was like, look, at some of these African Americans, particularly liberal African Americans, are kind of praising the lowest denominator, which she say are criminals, right? And because of that tends to hold African Americans down more than anything that could be even construed as systemic racism, right?
Remind
Because
me.
look how many people you know, who do they hold up? They hold up athletes, they hold up actors, they hold up rappers, they hold up like a lot of these criminals, right? And it's like there's so many good people. There's so many good African Americans.
Well, we
that have
just
done
got
some
demonetized.
really
Wait.
amazing shit.
Time out, guys.
What's up?
That's actually a really good point. I want to touch on that. Wasn't
Uh-huh.
there, and forgive me for forgetting her name, but wasn't there just a young African American woman who was killed by police during
Yeah.
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna.
Taylor? Yeah.
Why are they
Breonna
making
Taylor. That's what I thought her name was. Why isn't she vilified? That poor girl should be in a fucking gold coffin. We should be memorializing her, if
Yeah.
anybody.
Here's the
You know what I
problem
mean?
with her. That if you prop her up, because that was because of there was a no knock order.
Well, she was a cop,
No knock
right?
warrant.
Well,
She
the
was a
bigger
cop.
She was a
problem
medical-
is the fact that this would be used as an argument for more guns, for self-protection, for
Yeah.
libertarianism. The left doesn't want that, so they don't
Thank
care
you.
about Breonna Taylor.
I
Thank
think
you.
this tweet
That's what I
that
wanted to
was
hear.
going through for Atlanta really says everything about this. This one girl on Twitter for Atlanta protests is like, cover your faces when you protest, protect your identity.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
you don't need to
Oh.
cover your face if you're protesting. You cover your face if you're going to cause trouble.
Yep.
Oh no, not in America, because guess what? You cover your face if you work in a retail environment. You have to, or you don't have your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. You used to not be able to walk into a public environment with your face fucking covered. They would kick you the fuck out.
Well,
You
and the
wouldn't be
only
served.
time that honestly you need to go to a protest wearing some cover up is honestly if you're right wing, because people will dox you. The right does not dox these people unless they fucking like loot or steal.
Do you see
That's
that
why
guy
that
on
that's
there?
why that Berkeley professor had to post that fucking several page article anonymously, because he's like, he or she, I don't know, will lose their job and worse if they go out public with their opinions. And it was so poignant. You guys have to read it. It's very well written.
So much for white privilege then. What were we gonna say, Alex?
I was gonna say, do you see that guy on the feed? He's like underpants are all the way down, man. You could almost see that dude's ass.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I actually have a question based on white privilege, and it's for the panel, but I guess this is more for Donnie than anybody. But the idea of white privilege, like if you actually believe in white privilege, does that not also, like, do you not have to believe in like white supremacy to some degree to believe in white privilege?
That's the point I always bring up because Sargon brought up. If you believe in white privilege, then you technically believe whites are superior. You believe in white supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Sargon that much, but that's something I've kind of come to on my own, and I've
In my opinion, if you are kissing people's feet and you feel guilt, I kind of feel like you're guilty because you feel like you were better than black people anyways.
as a white person, absolutely, yeah.
Like, because I would never kiss someone's feet, like, ever, or bow to anyone. That's weird.
Nope.
That doesn't change anything.
I've been watching a lot of Young Ripa on YouTube. Young
Eh,
Ripa 69, I think.
Eric D. July. I love that. I love that
Dude,
guy.
he's fucking awesome, dude. And
He
he's keeping it real as fuck during all this shit. He posted a 20-30 minute video about why he doesn't support Black Lives Matter, and I posted just a little snippet of it on Twitter.
I've been
Go ahead.
I've been trying to get Eric on my show. So Eric July is Young Ripa 69's real name, and I've been following him for about like 5 years now, and I've been trying to get him on my show actually, but he's a really tough guy to get a hold of. But yeah, I
imagine he's busy.
Yeah, I saw that video, and yeah, every point he made was spectacular. So also,
I loved it as a white man watching a black man say what I think a strong black man should say. I mean, I'm a white man. What the fuck do I know? But I see an African American saying what I think an American of any fucking color should be saying. Fuck you. I don't need you to. Get out of my fucking way is what I need. I don't need you to give me nothing. I don't want your reparations. I don't want none of it. This is America.
Well, the other thing too about white privilege is that and Scott Adams brings up this point. I've kind of noticed this in a comment made by Bernie Sanders, is that it becomes insulting because it tells you, oh, you didn't work hard to get that. It was just given to you because you're white. And it's like Bernie Sanders' infamous line of debate that I'm shocked nobody holds him to this more, because it's the worst thing he's ever said, which is...
Wait, that's actually... go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, the thing he said was, if you're white, you do not know what it's like to be poor. That is the epitome of fucking... Yeah, I know, it's so laughable. Of cultural Marxism, this identity politics, white privilege bullshit. I mean, look, there's the trailer trash stereotype for a reason. Has he not heard of that? That's like in the South where there are a lot of poor white people in trailer parks, and people use that stereotype. Has he not heard of that? Does that not exist? And it's one of the most like ignorant comments made by a politician that's absolutely insulting, and nobody holds him to that as much as they should, because it's just insane. It's saying basically, oh, you're white, you can't be poor because you're white. That's pretty fucking insulting to people that are working class, poor, anything, or have been poor, that made something of themselves. Did they not know what it was like to be poor? No, they fucking did.
Well, and it's also privilege and all of that. This whole white privilege argument, it comes... I mean, it's more than just economics, because I get really gullible when people say I have white privilege, because for those who may be tuning in who have never heard of me before or haven't seen me, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm wheelchair bound. So whenever someone brings that up to me, I'm always like, well, you have able-bodied privilege, right? Because
your legs had too much privilege.
Wait. Time out. What you guys, the audience that doesn't know Sam, has to realize is those wheels. They have those Roman-style fucking swords that come out, and laser beams that point in both front and back. It is a chariot. Do not fuck. He has privilege, but it's a privilege you don't want to know about it. Just leave him alone.
Sam, you think you're so fucking special with that fucking wheelchair, huh? We're on to you. We are fucking on to you.
Honestly, I have been tempted to run some people down lately. I'm kidding here, folks, obviously, but when people bring up the whole concept of white privilege or whatever, it galls me, because it's like, well, a lot of my friends who are white, some of them have had troubles with the cops too. They're white. Some of them have grown up poor or impoverished. They're white. And besides that, there are other forms of privilege too. A lot of these like young black athletes, yeah, they may have come from poor areas, but they have extreme athletic talent. That's certainly something that I can't I was never going to qualify for an athletic scholarship in high school, and yeah, I mean, I know that might seem, oh, he's stereotyping black high school athletes. Well, but that does exist. I don't have a
Well, so does
scholarship
white
fund
so does white
that.
high school athletes though. This is my ultimate point personally, and
Yeah.
that I keep bringing up to my white fucking super liberal friend who knows me so well, and I know you're not racist, but I'm pretty sure you're racist. Is that my entire life, black African American culture has been held up. It has been celebrated. My entire school, I grew up in deep South Texas in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
Best time for Texas.
Well, but I still have vivid memories of this elderly African American gentleman that used to practice roping. He'd stick a bale of hay in his yard with a fucking one of those plastic cow heads with antlers, and he'd practice fucking roping. And he used to teach me how to what it was. And I have grown up my whole life. I see color because I'm not colorblind, but I have never looked at people by what they are. I have judged people innately by the way they talk, or their accent, or the way they say things, or the way they behave. But the color of their skin has never mattered to me from as long as I can remember. And that is my ultimate point. I am a redneck. I am as redneck, deep South as they come. I'm white. I guess you could say I had a fairly wealthy upbringing in my younger years, but I mean, I don't understand. I should say I didn't understand until recently with my friend, who I think I mentioned. He works for an oil company that his parents own. So his entire life, all the things that he and I did, the degenerate, the degenerate things that we did, he had a solid family to fall back on, where I did not. I bounced around, and I lived with my biological father at the time I met him. That's all besides the point. But I had a broken family home. He had a structured family home with a foundation, a company, a family company that had been built up for 20 plus years, and he still works there now. And he's trying to tell me about white privilege, and it's guilt. It is literally white guilt. Mm-hmm. He feels guilty because of all the shit that he's absorbing. He says he doesn't watch CNN or Fox or anything else, but he's on Facebook, he's on Instagram. The people that he follows watches those things, and he, quote tweets them, or reposts them, or whatever. And I can't make him understand that he's not alone though, but he's brainwashed.
Well,
he has.
Let's look. That's interesting. That's an interesting point, Apex. Let's I've been thinking about something now.
What was that,
quick.
Alex?
Go ahead, Alex.
I think what a good discussion would be is what privileges do actually exist. If white privilege doesn't exist, because I think that there are privileges out there, like some of what.
Class privilege.
Class, like nationality,
if you're rich,
genetics.
You're gonna have certain shit that poor people aren't gonna get.
That is what it boils down to. It's all money. It all boils down to poverty versus wealth. And that's another argument. I boiled it down to that with my friend. And he's like, well, so you're saying more minorities aren't poorer than white people? Well, fuck, by the numbers, yeah, sure. But I mean, again, that's where I hit a wall because I can't argue with stupidity sometimes.
Well,
here's
it's
the
like
thing too. Here's the thing too. Like, if you look at it, like, how do certain communities behave, cultures behave, and how do they do things? So, like, say, typically life insurance just seems kind of normal in American society to have it. But there's a lot of people in the African American or Black community, whichever people want to be called, who don't have it. There's people who come out there and they have outreaches, they have speeches and explain how this is important. So, like, I made a post about this, but George Floyd needing to have a GoFundMe. Like, but where is a legacy for the families to continue for generations to do well and better? Why aren't there financial plans set up, especially if you were to pass away, for life insurance or anything to have people set up?
I've dived deep into the Black conservative movement going back 50 plus years, and even into the Black liberal movement. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on names, other than Mr. Larry or Dr. Larry Elder. Is he doctor? I don't know. Larry Elders, who works for the Epic Times, has got a feature-length movie coming out called Uncle Tom that I'm very excited about. He keeps teasing.
I've
on his
actually
YouTube
met
channel.
Larry Elder before.
nice.
I like him quite a lot, and I'm sure he was a pleasure to talk to.
He was.
But Thomas Sowell and watching old MLK and Malcolm X, and God damn it, what is that super liberal black writer during the civil rights era?
Cornel West.
No, oh shit, I'd know it if I heard it.
It's not
He
James
was
Baldwin.
Yes, I think it was actually very
He likes
like
to drink and get drunk and then write his crappy stuff. That's him. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, but yeah, he had a speech at Berkeley that my buddy sent me a link to, and I watched it, and the first like 6 or 7 minutes of it, he's convincing the audience to imagine. I want you to imagine that the black man is this. I need you to imagine. And I'm like, okay, so you're coaxing the audience into a story here, because I mean, again, I have no context. That was 25 years before I was born. And in my lifetime, I have never seen anybody subjugated by their skin color, ever. I have heard people say awful things. I have seen people, well, that's it, really. Just say awful things. I've never seen anyone act out of racism that's clear to me anyway. Maybe I'm just naive, but
maybe you're just
when I
privileged,
see,
sir.
Maybe I'm just maybe
Sounds
I'm
like
just
white
privileged.
privilege to me.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'm just privileged in my fucking perspective. Yeah, you could be right.
Well, see, and Miss Firecracker, I'll adjust your stuff because you were mentioning in the chat that we should kind of remove color from this argument, stop talking about race. I agree. I said this on the radio
That's
show
the
before.
point.
Yeah, exactly. I want to stop talking about race. We are so past this, or we should be. But you see the Democrats trying to gin it up again and again and again, and it's something I hate so much
It's
because
tiring.
You know what's amazing? Guys,
I would love to not want to talk about race, but these liberals keep pushing it. They keep chucking it into this conversation unnecessarily, and it's like, okay, well, since you want to talk about it, let's start. Let's do it.
I'll give you some of my white privilege, Brandon. You can have half of it.
Here's a quick poll. How many of these Confederate statues that they've toppled in these various cities are Republicans?
Ooh.
Is that a CNN poll?
No, that's a real question. Because as far as I'm aware, none of them. Of course, none of them. They're all Democrats.
No, that's
in the latest CNN poll. Trump is 96% of the people we said that Donald Trump is in fact a bigot. What do you think of that? I don't know.
Off of that,
Honestly, makes me want to go sleep.
When do
Did
you
you
think
guys?
they're going to take down the what's that thing carved into that mountain? The Mount
Mount
Rushmore.
Rushmore.
Or they-
Mount Rushmore.
That thing carved into a mountain somewhere.
Hey, don't mess
Listen.
don't mess with it, okay? Team America hides there, and we don't need all that.
Yes.
Don't get Nicolas
Nice
Cage out.
Well, no, let's
Nice
be real.
reference.
I'm sure the left will think that at least some of those people are racist, and probably some of them owned slaves at some point. You know.
Oh, I mean, they already took down the Christopher Columbus statue in Minnesota today.
Yeah, they're
Well,
defending
wait,
the one in
did you
Philly.
guys- who was the statue that fell on that dude and like crushed his fucking skull?
Oh yeah, I forget.
I don't even remember. Dude, that was an awful video to watch, but I couldn't help but laugh.
That's tough.
I mean, like, I felt so bad as I was sitting there laughing. I'm like, oh my god, that is so terrible. Everyone up on the thing, like holding their faces, like, oh my god, we just crushed that man with this fucking 100-year-old statue.
Oh, was
Correct
that
me if
Alex?
I'm wrong, but wasn't Nancy Pelosi's dad one of the people who put up one of those statues or had it?
Yes.
put up?
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Nancy
Yeah, I
Pelosi's
thought so.
dad put up a Confederate
Okay,
statue.
so like, they took the head off of the Christopher Columbus statue in Boston. I'm semi-triggered by it.
I feel like
Because now you can just see the metal pole inside of it sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a dumb question for this panel,
Ooh.
but does this is another argument that I can't seem to win or can't seem to make any headway on?
Mhm.
Is the Confederate flag racist by nature?
No,
If someone has one, of course not.
but I can
Of course not.
understand. I can understand why people don't like it, and I can understand why people don't like the statues. But, and here's the big but: in a civilized country, you would vote in your local communities if you want to take the statue down or not. In an uncivilized country, you tear them down. ISIS does that. In Iraq,
Right?
they do that.
Absolutely.
Look, I
Absolutely.
actually understand both sides of the statue debate. I understand it because this is an extreme. Just take it for what it is. Just understand the principle. If you had a Hitler statue in your town, which obviously nobody does, but let's say you did,
Sure.
I probably wouldn't want that. Now, do you not want a Confederate statue? Okay, I can maybe understand that, but don't tear it down. Don't destroy it.
Listen,
Let
that's what
everybody
museums are
decide. Let the
for.
whole community speak, not just a few people in the mob.
I want
that's
to
what
answer this
that's what
question
museums.
about I want to
Go
answer
ahead,
the
Donnie.
question with the Confederate flag.
Sure.
I think it's only racist if your intent is to be racist.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's the key, though, is you have to rely on people's. That's another big wall that I'm coming up against. That's the main divide with me and my longest friend on this earth, is that he thinks that I'm secretly racist. He
Yeah.
thinks that there's like some secret thing that because I don't denounce the Confederate flag as racist, and he's like, I see the modern debate as the North versus the South. One side is evil, one side is for evil, one side is for good. Like, that is stupid. You realize that the North had slaves throughout the entire the war was not started about slaves, nor did it end about slaves. It became that over time, but the North, the Emancipation Proclamation, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, was about rebellion states holding slaves. The North
okay.
held slaves longer than the South did.
Can I just chime in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
So, I'm still going through Twitter and seeing the posts of Atlanta. I'm just like, okay, everyone's saying, oh, he was sleeping in his car and then, he was shot by the police.
No.
But they fail to mention that, one, he was resisting arrest. He tried to get away from the police when they obviously told him to get on the ground. 3, they took his taser, which once
Stolen.
they hit the police officer with the taser, it would have incapacitated him, and then he could have taken his gun, which that's a whole nother story. But anyways, that didn't happen. That was the possible situation that we could have been dealing with, and if that did happen, they would say, good, it's time for them to fight back, and it would still be this huge thing.
Yeah, and I
Donnie,
think he
I
stole the
actually-
taser too.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, can
When
y'all
he
play the
tried to grab
video?
the taser, because the cop was trying to, tase him to just get him to chill for a second while they could get handcuffs on him, because he was resisting arrest. He was being very, very aggressive. He got up multiple times after saying, get on the ground. Like, if you don't want to get hurt in arrest, don't resist and just go with it. Fight in the court. This whole thing could have been, fine if he just didn't resist arrest.
Yep. And that's what I brought up before, is that 9 times out of 10, these incidents happen because somebody is doing something they should be doing, then resists arrest, doesn't listen to the cop. And look, I'm not saying they deserve what happens to them at all, but man, are they asking for it. They're not making their situation better. It's really, they're acting stupid in these situations, a lot of these people. And unfortunately, this is what's going to happen.
One of the,
I posted.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I posted a video of Brandon Tatum talking about it. If you want to share it, it's like 3 minutes. I retweeted it, so it's on the very top. If you want to show what he's saying, and he's showing parts of the video clip too.
Yeah, they were showing some of this news feed here, and you can tell the cop was. I think I saw the cop was chasing after him too. Like when we say resisting arrest, I think the guy was trying to run away.
Well, if you sort of watch like the full video, it's like he was obviously, fighting the police officers to get out from under him after they were just trying to, get him to chill out, and he was just fighting, and he was not gonna be arrested. Play stupid game, win stupid prizes.
Yeah.
I have a hot take that I haven't really seen anywhere, and this is another one of my arguments that I keep pressing with my friend here, that I haven't shared publicly because I'm not as confident about. But I do. The more I think about it, the more I think it has some merit. In regards to, black dudes running from cops, black women running from cops. A lot of what you were just discussing, you seen on Twitter, like refusing to bow to what they view as tyranny. I feel like black people, African Americans, are more empowered and have been for a couple of generations. And so by nature and the way that they were raised, in a lot of cases, and again, this is entirely speculation, I feel like they're more American than most Americans. They don't bow as easily to, in their minds, to tyranny. They're not gonna fucking fuck you, white black cop. The cops are corrupt in most cases. They're there to protect and serve, yes, but like all institutions, they are corrupt. There is corruption amongst it, period. And you can't denounce. I refuse to denounce the people that have been subjugated by people in power, whether that be judges or lawyers or cops or anything. It doesn't matter your skin color. The system is oppressive, period. So when black people stand up to that and they get shot and they get tased and they get fucking dog sicked on them, obviously the numbers show that doesn't happen statistically that often, but 13% versus 80-something% black versus white, you compare. That's actually when I was in the chat last week, that's the question I was posing to Donnie, because someone brought up a number of white people were killed last year by cops and X number of black people, and I was asking Donnie, well, how does that correlate to the statistics of the actual numbers of white versus black people in the country? Because there's more white people killed than black people, but if there's 80% black people versus 13% black people, that number changes.
That's also a misguide. That statistic is also semi-misguided, just because it's how many times do these people interact with the police? Like that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure.
You have to kind of
there's so many variables to it. Yeah, for so many variables.
Also, breaking news real quick. One of the officers in this case is put on leave. The other one was fired.
Didn't the chief fucking step down?
She did. I
Oh
personally
my
think she
fuck,
did
dude.
that because she didn't want to take the heat and want to get the fuck out. That's my guess.
Yeah. I mean, these cops, a lot of these cops are stepping down too, all over the place, because it's a thankless fucking job. It
Yeah.
really is.
I don't blame him either for it. That was another point, Sean, that Gavin McGinnis brought up on one of his shows. I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday. Gavin said, at this point, I wouldn't blame cops if they just, like started turning off the radios and,
Yeah.
and just saying, piss off. We're not going to answer, the call because at this point, it's a thankless job. So,
Well, if
I
you want
heard-
to
I heard
defund
a,
us, if you want to abolish us, why should we help you?
I heard a Tulsa, I think it was the Tulsa police chief, on recording a couple of days ago saying that statistically they don't shoot enough black people. Which was, I mean, it was
Well,
so.
It's a hot take.
I mean,
That's
that was the gist of what he
That's
said.
pretty cringe.
No, I know,
Yeah, it
I
was
know his point, and that's actually
Yeah.
it's a
Not
provoc.
as cringe as bad TikToks. Am I right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I
No,
wouldn't
it's a
call that.
provocative talking point.
Yeah.
But the way he broke it down, he's like, look, our officers are not engaging lethally with people because of their skin color for fear of both their job
Yeah.
and for public ridicule.
Mhm.
And they're worried about the stigma behind doing their fucking job. And these people are getting away or getting, going to jail for 3 weeks and then getting out and fucking selling more drugs or killing more people or whatever, black or white or whatever, whatever the case may be.
Well,
But
that
his
was-
point particularly was,
Yeah. Well, that was the
people of
point I was
the
going to bring
darker
up
skin.
too, is that, with all of this Black Lives Matter shit for the past like 7 years or so, whether it's been 8 years, you would think that, I mean, these things have decreased, at least in media notoriety, for a while until the George Floyd thing. I mean, cops got to be all across the country way more careful about what they do because of this shit. I mean, a lot of them have body cameras now. A lot of them know that they're in the spotlight. If they fuck up, they're going to be on national news. They're going to get doxxed. Their family's going to get doxxed. They're going to be getting death threats, and they're going to have to lose their job. So they're probably, when these things do happen, it's probably like is the last of last resorts. The one thing I would actually, the only small criticism I would have, or at least a question, is why, and I guess tasers aren't as effective sometimes, but how come in some of these cases they aren't using tasers? That's the only question I have, but I do understand that tasers aren't that effective and don't always work.
Well, I mean, fuck. I had a point there. Something I was going to hit on at the beginning of what you just said. But, my dad, my biological father, actually was a police officer for a long time, and the little bit of time I spent with him, I learned quite a lot. And he's actually where I learned most of my anti-racist ideals from. And weirdly enough, he's the least parental figure I've had in my life. But he instilled. He was a cop in Houston, and he used to describe all manner of things he would deal with, and he always told me that the worst people that he dealt with were on meth. And he never, it was funny because he never broke them down into a race. He would tell me about 6'6" dudes. He would tell me about 3'3" dudes. He would tell me about, various heights and muscle builds and shit like that, and their area in which he was in. And at one point, I remember asking him, like, so we're, in that area, where were they black people, or were you dealing with a lot of black people? And he's like, well, that wasn't the point, son. And that's not the point. I was young, of course. And that was one of the few times where I came out and was like, well, I'm starting to see the world around me and interact with people that have had different ideals than me. and you know, ideas of racism and other, not just racism, but specifically to the topic, racism becomes an idea in my head. Like, well, the only person I'm going to talk to is, your parent at the time.
Also, for anybody on the feed, Black Lives Matter is going back on the highways right now. I don't know what they're going to be doing, but they are going back on the highways.
Hey, by the way, I wonder how cheap real estate is in Minnesota, in Minneapolis now, or in Seattle. Better yet, in Seattle. Wonder how cheap that real estate is now that everything's all gone to hell. Not that I would waste my money on that shit, but I'm just saying, like.
Hey, who is the owner of the Versa Media channel? Is it Dexter?
Technically me, yes.
Can you make Donnie a mod in the chat?
Oh yeah, it's a good idea. I always forget the mod people, but also, yeah, again, people subscribe if you haven't already. Please do so. We really appreciate it, and helps fight the YouTube algorithms every little bit.
Comment, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff helps fight.
Yep. And as I was
communism.
saying during our breaking of 200 subscribers, actually I forgot to say, was that I really do appreciate 200 people that actually hit subscribe and thought, hey, I give a shit about what these people say enough that I'm gonna click this button to hear more of it. Is fantastic. Like, this has been a long journey to get to this 200. I mean, it's a hard grind at times, and sometimes it's discouraging, but really appreciate and love all the support, and love that we've gotten people like Sam, Donnie, now Apex, and more people. Nick, met you in the CR's chat. And we've been getting more people on these streams and made some good friends. I mean, Sam especially stuck with us from the beginning. He was technically Styx Hexenhammer was our first ever guest, but Sam was our first sort of like YouTube friend we made. But really appreciate and love it.
Listen, Sammy.
What was that, Alex?
Sammy may be in a. Go ahead, Alex. Yes, sir.
A gay diggy.
That's true. Gay Diggy was our first ever fan. He was a loyal supporter. But yeah, go on, Apex.
I was just gonna say that Sam is my favorite person on the internet, and I love the dude like I know him in real life. So he deserves all the praise and respect that I've ever heard anybody give him, and then some.
Feelings mutual. I actually have a funny story to tell about that too. So, when Dictator Phil first contacted me about being on the show, I had just come off a 2-year streak of battling with right-wing internet tards in a specific circle. Well, they're not even right-wing; they're just internet retards that belong to a certain cult that I've mentioned way too many times. And when Phil contacted me, he was like, "Hey, do you want to come on my show?" And it was like the first time that I'd been invited on a YouTube stream in like a real long time to talk about like this person related stuff. So Phil, I just want to, commend you for inviting me into your, internet family. So
it was a easy decision. Like you created like with your channel, like hearing you a couple of times, it was like you created such good points. And that day, that first episode that you came on, we were talking about the Vox apocalypse or whatever, and I was like, okay, so who could we get on that would really make an impact? We had Styx Hexenhammer. I was like, oh yeah, he could really lay some lumber on this, like give some great insight. And then we got Trent Lipinski, and then it was like, oh yeah, Sam Whitfield. Easy decision. And that was such a great show that we did. And that was like to me, that was like the beginning of going, okay,
this shit's for real.
we could take this thing to another level, and like it was no turning back, and it's been great ever since.
I know that Sean will be a little. Well, you might be a little young to remember this, and I don't know if Donnie will have listened to this either. But this kind of reminds me of the old Anthony and Opie show. Went back when they were good, like just kind of like free forming and what.
Back when Patrice was on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite. By the way, one of my favorite comedians, Patrice O'Neal.
Dude,
absolutely
legit.
one of my favorite comedians.
Legit, probably the best comedian.
I mean, I pay for Compound Media. I do. It's fantastic stuff. Like Anthony Cumia does. He does his own platform where you like. It's like a pay service or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's so good. Like the analysis he gives is so good. The interviews are fantastic, and I'm like, that's the guy I would thrive to be like, as far as because it's so good. Like the interviews are so good, yet it's like it feels like normal conversation because he's done it for so long. It flows so well.
It's really. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No. You go for it.
I was just gonna say that it's really, firing up on Twitter right now because somebody noticed one of my remarks saying that, just like comply and fight in court, and then we wouldn't be dealing with this. And now I'm being called all sorts of names, bootlicker, all that good stuff. I'm just like, okay, but, if he just complied with the police and stayed by the law and, went by his rights that he has, none of this would have happened.
Speaking of Twitter, though, everybody throw out your Twitter handles because y'all need to be out there who are listening, need to follow these people. They're all fantastic.
The one thing that I've also gotten in the chat.
That is a long Twitter handle.
Twitter handles. Do your Twitter handles. Sammy, do your Twitter handle.
At SamW_NDC is my Twitter handle. And I'll throw my handle in the
you can continue your thought. Just everybody throw out your Twitter handles real quick, and then Sam can continue his thought.
Yeah, everyone lay your handle on me, and I'll follow
Donnie.
you. So
Donnie, put your handles on me. Apex_Gamma.
Silence.
Yep. At Pluffy Phil.
The Dawn _04.
Fantastic.
I think.
Coconut Head. What's yours?
Oh, yes. Mine's just it's my hockey handle. Since I do play hockey, and it's so stupid.
We won't embarrass you. The internet will do that for us.
Yeah. I named it Danglerama. So people love replying to me. But it's really just another hockey player if you look it up. But it's Danglerama.
I thought you said
Great.
Dingleberry at first.
Dingleberry.
I gotta follow instantly.
Me
That's
too.
weird.
Hey, this is why I had to make everybody throw out their handles. Like see, you think like, nobody's gonna follow us. When you hear a name like that, you're gonna follow that. But please, everybody, follow all these people. Like they're great, and I mean, Donnie's been blowing up too. Like she's already 13,000 followers. So it'll be great content.
Yeah. If you're not already subscribed to
correction 14.
Correction.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go. There you go. This chick's blowing up like hotcakes.
Yeah.
She's gonna be too good for all of us.
Yeah, there's gonna be a couple of times she's
Never.
like, we're gonna invite her on.
Never.
She's like, no, I'm busy. I gotta go on the Rubin Report and Joe Rogan. I'm like, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, who the fuck are these guys, man? I don't want to be seen with these guys anymore.
Sorry,
man.
sorry,
Bad
fellas.
optics.
Sorry, fellas. I'm practicing archery in Joe Rogan's
I don't
fucking
want to be.
mansion.
I don't want to be around a Pluffy Phil anymore. Fuck that shit.
Well, you
No,
gotta
that
bring
would
Dick
never
Taylor back.
happen, you guys. Never.
I know.
Well, Well,
If
we
it
Say
did, I
that
wouldn't blame you.
now.
If it did, I would clap and probably cry. I would be
Yeah.
so happy for you. I wouldn't be mad.
It
well,
wouldn't happen.
Let's
I promise.
What was that thing you were saying, Sam?
real quick, I have gotten some feedback, and maybe this is something that we should discuss off air, but I know that some people get confused as to who's talking, so maybe we need like an indicator thing on screen
Yeah,
or
I was thinking
jeez.
that.
something for the stream. I don't know.
That
like,
requires more
something-
technology. That requires.
Google it.
I've seen
The
some people,
OBS, right?
I've
Yeah.
seen
But like the What?
I've seen some people do it on OBS with the little Discord
Oh
avatars.
yeah, I could put the
yeah, kill stream. That's how the way the kill stream has always done it. There's like a little Discord thing in the left hand
Well,
corner.
the
I mean, it doesn't
overlay.
have to be exactly.
yeah, I
Yeah.
could just do the overlay. Shit, I didn't think of that. It's a good point. It's
We
why-
don't need to do it now, but like I've just been reading comments like, who the hell is talking? And I'm like, okay.
No, that's a good Sam. I'm glad you brought that up because I have wanted to mention that. Even though this is the second time I've been on the show.
We've grown in panels too. Like at first it was originally 2, and then it was 3, and then 4, and now we're at we got what, 6 people on?
yeah.
7.
It's 7. It's incredible. It's incredible. And
I
love
don't
it.
even know how I got here. I mean, other than Sam,
That was
I'm
really
happy to be here.
Yeah, it was
Well,
basically
yeah.
Sam.
Well,
I
because
think I'm pretty sure I just fucking stumbled in drunk one night and just threw a wrench into you guys' gears and was like, I want to be friends. Be my friend. You're like,
well,
all right, retard. We'll be your friend.
because honestly, Apex, I mean, and I don't want to, so I promise I won't bring this guy out, but Owen Benjamin is how I met Apex Gamer, and yeah, we all know what a train wreck Owen is, but see, Apex, I've been talking politics with Apex for a while now, outside of Owen, and I just think that Apex is actually a really smart guy. Smarter than Vox and smarter than Vox Day and Owen and Vox the magazine combined on politics. But
Well,
he doesn't.
look. Go ahead. Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
But you don't have the reach that you should. So.
Well, listen. I have lurked on the internet for a long time, but I have a very low self-esteem. Have had a very low self-esteem for most of my life, for various reasons. So projecting myself out to the world has never been something that I cared to do. Owen, unfortunately, was my inlet to the greater internet. And I watched Owen like I watched many other people. And this is something that my liberal friend, who I continuously bring up, likes to use against me, because he doesn't know the Owen that I found when I found him. He only sees the Owen that I post clips of because he was subscribed to my channel. He uses Trump and Owen in the same breath. He thinks he's like, oh, anybody that can be fooled by this idiot, you could be fooled by the idiot in the White House. Like, okay, well, when I first started watching Owen, he played piano and looked at memes
Yeah.
and talked to the chat.
That's
Literally
the Owen I
answered
knew.
questions. He was so fucking normal. And he did talk about some Hollywood shit, corruption and weird shit, but it was when there was a switch that flipped, and I was there. I was watching when it happened, and I felt it important as a newbie to the internet to download a free fucking screen recorder app and start recording this piece of shit, because he was lying a lot and he was grifting a lot, worse than I'd ever seen. and Johnny Arcade was the only person that I'd seen doing it. So I felt some sort of moral obligation to post videos, clips, and like, look, this dude's a liar. Anybody that might find Owen Benjamin clips, like, don't fall for it. He's full of shit because
No.
he fell into every single fucking conspiracy category that he possibly could that exists to this point. Just about. The motherfucker supposedly drinks turpentine right now. I still don't believe that, but that's the fray that he's gotten to at this point. You know, it started with flat Earth, then the moon landing's fake, then the moon's fake, then we don't live on a real. This isn't real. We live on a plane. All the while
And-
grifting conservative
and-
Christians, which he learned from Steven Crowder.
And
Go
and
ahead.
now the Holy Trinity is gay also, apparently.
Yeah,
So,
that too. Well,
al-
that's the thing. He's so fucking retarded. He's gonna spiral himself into oblivion. But the point that I was trying to make is, like, Owen was my
inlet.
regrettably, he was my inlet to the greater internet at large. Because you know, I'm old, and I really don't care anymore. I own guns. I'm very capable of protecting myself. I'm not afraid of being doxxed. I'm not afraid of losing my job. I have skills. What I care about is this country and the people in it, and especially the young people in it. And I feel very passionate about a lot of what's going on right now, and I feel an urge to speak up. And I can't listen. I could talk to people. I could talk to a person every 10 minutes about how I feel and what I think about what's going on in the world, and it would get nowhere. The internet is a lot of things. A lot of them are bad, but there is so much potential for good. Just like politics, just like democracy, just like capitalism. You know, they all have capacity for great good and great evil, you know? And
right,
I feel like, go ahead.
let's you brought up you brought up the the possibility for good, and brought up politics. I got a question, okay? And this is for the co-panel. This is for all the people that are on the live chat. I think like with Donald Trump, right? Or President Trump. I think that these last 3 years may have been the best 3 years that a US president has had, maybe ever. When you look at the stuff that he's gotten done, combine that with all the stuff that has gone against him, right? You're talking about a full impeachment. You're talking about full impeachment, the media blitzing, the
cucked Congress for his first
the cucked
term.
Congress, like just like
this the
I'm
how
not
great-
sure. I'm not sure that anybody has had a better presidency than Donald Trump when you look at the overall picture.
There's nobody that's been more pro. Go ahead, Coconut. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying my man's over here trying to forget George Washington.
I mean, look,
No.
about George Washington, we don't have a lot of the stuff that we have, but I'm saying, like, if you're talking, I mean, I wasn't alive for George Washington, so I can't vouch.
In our collective lifetimes.
Yeah.
I'd say he's probably the most accomplished in modern presidents.
Yeah.
I told my girlfriend in late 2015, maybe early 2016, that Donald Trump was likely going to be the best president in our lifetime. And she argued with me, but I laid out all the things, his policy proposals, the abolishment of the death tax, First Step Act, which I'm not sure if that was announced at the time, but just the things, all the things that I saw through the public. To none of that matters. The things that he says don't mean shit to me. What he does matters to me, you know. And that's the big divide. Is, oh well, he represents our country and he's a bigot and he's, oh, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Oh, that's a fucking, oh, that's the, you know, the slave hunters fucking term. No, it's not. That's just common sense. You start fucking stealing shit, you're gonna get shot. This is America, you idiot. You know. So, I mean, I don't think that he's perfect, but I think the way I've honestly always been pretty nihilistic. It's only recently that I've kind of come around to the more positive side of both politics and life in general. You know, within the last 5 years or so. And I understand a lot of things that I didn't growing up, which is why I feel like I understand where a lot of these disillusioned youth and even people older than me that are like, Black Lives Matter, white people telling me that Black Lives Matter. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Well, I mean, Black Lives Matter. What do you mean? So my life doesn't matter because I'm not black? Well, no, your life matters. Well, so all lives matter. No. Black Lives Matter, because that's what everybody's saying right now, and I don't want to get metaphorically lynched by the mob. You know, it's fucking absurd, man. Like the rhetoric and the tone that I hear from people and that I see from people is so before my generation. I can't even comprehend it. Like, the things that people are complaining about, I have never even seen before.
Me
Go
neither.
ahead. Donnie.
What do you think, Donnie?
I'm here. Sorry.
No.
What do you think? We're saying that within the last 3 years, there may not that Donald Trump may be the best president, at least in our lifetime. When you look at all the stuff that he's done, combine that with all of the resistance that he's had, all the congressional obstruction, the impeachment, all the media destruction,
the media.
The media. When you look at all of those, and he was still able to get all that shit done, I don't know if there's a better president in our lifetime.
So I'll say this. I told Phil earlier today, I've never given money to any politician whatsoever, because I feel like they're using the money, for tax money anyway. That's how I always felt. But Donald Trump is the first president I've ever given my money to multiple times. And this last time I told you, Phil, I gave him $60. I lied. It was $90. I gave him 45 and 50 2 different times within the last 30 days, because he is the best president in my lifetime. There's no maybe. He is the best.
Exactly.
I had a lot of anxiety when Obama was president, and I seen things happening. And then if I didn't have insurance, I had to pay $600 for the year. Like, I don't like people telling me
right.
I don't like people telling me where my money needs to go. This is my money.
Universal health care.
Government tell me where it needs to go. What was that?
I mean, you look at Obama, right? And he was in for 8 years, and he was coddled by the media. Like, the media took care of him so much. I mean, he got a little bit of pushback from Fox, but wasn't much. Like, it wasn't really much. You're talking about the levels of vitriol that this media gives Donald Trump, saying, "Oh, they're saying he's a racist 24/7." You look at Congress; they're obstructing everything. He still doesn't have the people that he wants in a lot of his cabinet seats, just because Congress is obstructing him at every fucking turn. right?
It's
And
weird.
yeah, it's and yet he's still getting shit done. And this is what's so incredible about the job that he's done. He's been able to do it with all of this stuff. Like you just even look at remembering when he crossed the street to hold the Bible up in front of the church, and people gave him shit about that, right? And even
Upside down.
and then you're talking about the Secretary of Defense giving it saying, "Oh, I don't support the Insurrection Act." Motherfucker, you support whatever he tells you to support. Like if Donald Trump says jump, you go how high. And then you got General Milley, who's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for, no, you don't apologize. You don't apologize for shit. You do exactly what President Trump tells you to do. There's no and if there's a problem, get the fuck out and let somebody else do it."
I have to push back on that, just because the elected representatives and Secret Service included. I mean, I guess Secret Service might be a little different, but the service of the American people and the Constitution should be, and is supposed to be, the foremost. I mean, Secret Service, that's different. They're fucking bodyguards. They take a bullet when a shot's fired. But as far as Congress and fellow politicians, that's both the beauty and the problem of the American ideal experiment. It's like, again, South Park just put it perfectly. We're a nation that gets to have our cake and eat it too, in the best of times. But we also get to smash that cake in our face and not eat it at the same time. We have the capability of doing both, and it's a matter of what the general population, the vast majority, decide to do.
If you don't support, so like when you're talking about politicians, I could agree up to a point, but when you're talking about people in your cabinet, right? These are, like, you're talking about the Department of Defense. These are people in your cabinet. You pick these people because they are supposed to do your bit. Like, they're supposed to follow your orders. You don't play games. It's like, hey, Department of Defense, you will do what the fuck I tell you to do, unless there's some legal pushback to it, which he doesn't have. He can use the Insurrection Act if he wants to. He has full authority to be able to pull that whatever he wants off, within limits, right? But I don't care. It's like you don't stand in front of a camera and go, "Oh, I don't support the Insurrection Act." No, motherfucker, you support whatever he tells you to support. That's it. And then especially if you're a general, you better fucking respect. You better do what he tells you to do.
How about the Attorney General, old Sessions?
Oh, fucking Sessions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And that goes, and that's why he's no longer Attorney General.
Hey guys.
And
yeah, Donnie?
I'm looking at our numbers really fast, and I'm seeing that we have 4 dislikes now, not 13.
I saw that. What's going on? Maybe they were bots.
Oh, yeah, they might have been.
That's the type of removals that I approve of.
Damn it! I actually wanted those dislikes. I was like, damn.
I was like, whoa.
Did they take likes with them too?
No, I got 29.
Oh shit! There's 30 people in the chat. What's up, y'all?
Hey.
I love it. I love it. All these people, and there's some good comments here too. I'm loving.
Yeah, let's respond to some comments. Read some out.
Chat with the name Eric CM Ramella.
So Michael Abbott. Here, I'm going to tell you, Michael A. Abbott one of the best things President Trump has done is to expose the media to the masses for what they are. I could not agree more with that one. That was the very first thing. From the moment he took charge, he brought all the media in and just basically bashed them all. Like it was so beautiful. And
I have to agree that, I mean, right now it seems, again, that's another wedge that's used as an argument against Trump, is like, oh, well, all he does is blame the media. All he does is blame the media. But when you fucking, when you unwire your jaw and you swallow that fucking red pill finally, and you open your goddamn eyes,
I'll talk to you about opening your eyes.
Go ahead.
This person who I've been going, I've been trying to, be, somewhat cordial in replying to his, well, not so nice tweets. But to say the least, his last tweet said, well, so we were talking about how, apparently I was a bootlicker and all that stuff, but I was like, well, I'm not defending all police officers here. There's other cases where, it could be, a different story, stuff like that. And so I said, if you comply, then, you can fight it out in the court of law. And he was like, George Floyd complied. It didn't save him. I'm just like, okay, one, you can't compare two cases to each other in the court of law. And two, why'd you just use that as backup? We weren't even on that. So you're just, when you're losing an argument, you just go to the past and just be like, oh, well, this happened. Like, you can't, in the court of law, you can't compare two cases. That just doesn't hold up. Because there's different outcomes, different variables, and a whole different environment. These both were two very different circumstances, clearly. But apparently that doesn't hold up.
It's funny, in the Chaz here, good analysis, by the way, but in the Chaz here, they were doing a concert, like, in this fucking tent, and it just ended, and somebody commented in the chat here. I'm gonna try and find whoever said it, but they said people were going to the fucking, like, bathrooms. I think they said they were using, like, the Johnny on the spots. It's so funny.
Well, I was muted there, but Coconut, I was trying to counter you there, because legal precedent is a thing. So using other cases as an example for your cases does exist. That is a thing in the American judicial system. You know what I mean? So
yeah, so
I'm not gonna. I can't.
The ultimate white card. He said he was like, neither of them would get the opportunity to see the court of law, whereas someone who looks like you would have. I'm just like, okay, so we're going there now.
Yeah. Jesus.
White privilege all the way. I totally
right.
white privilege and all that good stuff. And if you didn't know, Mr. Person on Twitter, if you don't think I was poor for a time, I always had this privilege growing up. Well, I didn't. 2008 hit us hard. We got our home foreclosed, and we were basically homeless for about 3 years. So I don't really want to hear it from you.
By the way, since it's June 14th, is officially President Trump's birthday, so happy birthday, Mr. Trump.
Happy birthday, Mr. President!
Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Conan!
Happy birthday to the greatest president in our lifetime.
Yep. Fucking God Emperor. That's why I campaigned from in 2016, and I'm still campaigning from in 2020.
The one thing that I wish that the president would do, like the only, and this is like minor, very, very, very minor. And maybe it's a personal thing too, but like, I wish he'd get more aggressive with some of this shit. Like, I wish he would get some. I wish he'd get some. And this is,
well,
and
with
I'm
what
glad
specifically?
that he's not. Like, I'm talking about
guys. Go ahead.
I'm talking about people that are pushing back on him, leakers, Like anybody who's leaking information, they should be going to jail for treason, right? If you're leaking
he's not the
classified
juror.
information, and I would be like, no, he's gone.
That wouldn't be good.
Put him in the back.
That
Take
wouldn't be
him to
good.
the back of the woodshed. No. Deal with it.
Listen, you know what? You know what I think would make Donald Trump literally a golden figure in American history for everybody. From right now forward, especially this election season coming up, federal legalization of not just marijuana, but maybe just marijuana.
No, we need to go.
I
Do we need to recede more ground to the left?
No,
No, that is not. No, fuck you. No, stop.
Legal too. God damn it.
No, I think
Stop.
Hold on though.
What about some cocaine? God damn it.
I wouldn't mind.
Hold
that.
on
Listen.
though. I see where Apex is coming from.
Yeah, no.
I'm not making that argument per se, but I've heard that a lot from the right on things that I agree on.
And the drug war. That's all I have to say.
I said legalize all psychedelics. Don't let the left just go and like think ahead, 2 steps ahead. Boom.
Well, here, I'll give an example. Like, I agree that gay marriage should be legalized, but a lot of people on the right were like, why are we giving the ground to the left? Why are we giving in? This is what they want. That's what they want. They want weed legalized too. I'm just throwing that out there. Isn't that giving too much ground to the left?
No, this should have never been a right-left issue. Like, this is a...
But everything is. Like, shoulda, coulda, woulda, that doesn't matter. What matters is this is a left versus a right kind of ish. Kind of. I think with young people it's a little different, but...
No, I don't believe so. Like, after all this, maybe Trump could go and use that as an excuse to go and legalize psychedelics. Because, look over here. They've had usage of people... And I didn't say... Okay, and I'm not saying legalize all drugs. I'm saying psychedelic drugs.
Yeah.
Psilocybin, I'm talking about marijuana. I'm talking about LSD. I'm talking about MDMA.
Yeah, I was
there is a use for veterans.
I was doing my whiskey biscuit voice.
How does that conserve anything, though? How is that advancing conservative principles?
It's an individual right.
Well,
we should be allowed to go.
Sean, I hate this.
What was that, Alex? Sorry.
Well, this is an issue like kind of more towards the libertarian side. We should be able, like, how is this hurting anybody?
Well, increase. With weed specifically and psychedelics, I'm just gonna say I don't know because I've not researched it, but I'm arguing I'm playing devil's advocate here because I really don't care about weed per se as long as it doesn't raise my taxes or my medical bills. But I know why Democrats want to legalize it, and it's because they can tax it and make money off it, more money for the government. Do we I'm just thinking, I'm not thinking from a principle here, I'm thinking from a strategic sense. Is this really a good strategy to push for?
Yes. I don't know where
I think to the left, the reason why they're pushing the whole legalized marijuana is a way to pander to the younger people. That's why I think they're really doing it.
True,
and I've spoken about this before on the show, that Trump's administration hasn't been seizing very many properties for growing it in states where it's legal, opposed to what Obama did during his administration. Under Trump's administration, they've actually legalized growing more for more research. I feel like Trump isn't pandering because that's not who he is, and talking about it like that.
Exactly.
Look at all the CBD businesses that are going up too.
Wait,
that's a good point.
Let Donnie finish her point. What was that?
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I've done it too. Like, it's like a bunch of us. So
yeah.
But no, I was just saying that Trump has to put his name behind it. So he's gonna make sure it's right before he does it. He's not gonna pander to try to get votes because that's not who he is. But under his administration, the growing for research has went up a lot.
Well, and I don't know where I got cut off because I was talking into the void there for probably 30 seconds at least.
I just didn't want people piling on. So, if you don't, I'll give you time to think. Or you have a thought?
Yeah, all I was trying to say though is that I don't. I think that it would be a good idea for Trump at this point or within the near future to federally legalize marijuana, if only for medical use, maybe for recreational use, because the stimulation that could cause to the economy, as well as pander to the young kids, the
I
liberal
don't think
kids.
he's going to win a
Because guess
single
what?
vote from it, though.
Well, people
Maybe not. I'm just saying. This is just speculation from my modest, humble, idiot, half retarded opinion. After the COVID lockdowns, after all this shit's been burned down, you know, there's most of the country smokes fucking weed anyway, in basically every age group, from young adults to elderly. Some of them in legal medical states, some of them not. Myself, still currently illegally, but the amount of money that could generate for the country, the federal government, et cetera, that could be, you know, responsibly allocated to the American people.
Yeah, but that ain't going to
Taxes.
happen. They're just going to have more money
Well,
to waste, as they always do.
Of course. But that wouldn't be on Trump. That was the whole point I was trying to make. That wouldn't be on Trump if shit got subverted. If he made a good move and it got subverted thereafter, which tends to happen. I mean, can't blame him. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a long-time degenerate, but go ahead.
I don't see a problem. No, I don't see a problem with what you said. I think the biggest savings will come in the drug war because a lot of it goes through for weed offenses, and then tack on top of that the fact that we have a system right now which is untenable for the long term, where it is legal in states and localities, but it's not legal federally, and you can't have that. It doesn't make any sense where you have something that's federally illegal, but you're telling your your feds not to go and investigate the state issues.
Yeah.
Obama did the opposite.
Yeah, he was the worst. When he was campaigning, he was like, "Hey, everybody should be able to smoke a little joint every now and again." And then as soon as he got into office, he was doing federal busts left and right. It's like it was bad. It was bad. Like you don't even see that with Donald Trump. He's like, in fact, how many cannabis businesses have been going up, like in the stock market and all the CBD stuff circulating.
Hey, didn't Obama? CBD's that's fucking snake oil, man.
Yeah, it's a fucking scam. But the thing with the marijuana, though, is they should do something legally with that, because right now you're in a situation where people can get prescribed it medically in certain states, but if they take it, they risk losing their job, losing their benefits.
Yeah. I think one thing I would agree with Trump on is if he decriminalized it, because that would at least make things consistent across the board, and I think that's the fairest way.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I do not want weed legalized, but I think it's a losing battle to push against legalization. I think it's going to get legalized nationally anyway. So maybe, again, from a strategic standpoint, the other side of it is maybe Trump should push for legalization to take it from the left so they don't win that battle. But Miss Firecracker in the chat says, all in caps, drugs and abortion are used as eugenics for black population. Hot take right there. And they were going off about how psychedelics are used by the CIA to like make people's brains go to mush. So
now up over here. So if you got some random dude, you want to give him like a
here's
wait, one at a time.
Here's a super unpopular opinion, but I have to be. I heard the argument from a friend who runs a libertarian podcast, but he's pretty sensible, and he made the argument the other day for not necessarily legalizing all drugs, but decriminalizing all drugs. And the argument that he made, which I found very compelling actually, was a lot of these crimes that the cops go into these predominantly minority neighborhoods are drug related. So you legalize weed and then you decriminalize drugs. Yeah, they might not be illegal, but there's less of an incentive for there to be a black market, and so gangs aren't starting turf wars over
Nah,
this
see
shit.
where I disagree.
Dude, no, wait. Listen, that's actually another point that I made into the void when I was disconnected earlier. I was like, hello? Was that the most recent South Park episode? I think the finale of their most recent season that aired was another Tegrity episode, but it was Tegrity cocaine, and they Randy makes an argument to Santa Claus, because Santa is super pissed off, that they're selling cocaine, or he's selling cocaine to the people, and Randy's like, look, Santa, this is grown here in America. Americans get paid for it being grown. There are no chemicals. There are no cartels killing people. There are no border crossings. This is pure a plant that is processed into this drug. Why wouldn't you let Americans enjoy that, Santa? And Santa's like, oh, it is pretty fucking pure.
Yeah, it's like, that was funny. That might have been one of the funniest episodes.
That is so good.
South Park's ever done. Especially when you had Santa and Jesus hitting lines of cocaine. It's like, oh, this is a nice clean line right here.
Yeah,
like,
oh, that's clean. That's clean. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the point. Like, I think, drugs are never going to go away. Just like racism, quote unquote, is never going to go away. Hatred for one another, evil, poverty. I don't think these things are never going to go away. So the sooner we can widely embrace them and integrate them in a positive way. I mean, I consider myself socially liberal, socially liberal, but politically conservative. I'm pretty strong on both of those things. I don't think anybody should be told they shouldn't do anything that doesn't hurt another person. I really don't. Smoke weed, do heroin, I don't give a fuck. If you're not hurting anybody else, or society at large, rather, then fine. But
see, like, I think there's a difference. If you're talking about like meth, you're talking about like crack, you're talking about fentanyl. I think that's a separate subject than marijuana legalization and even psychedelic legalization. Because let's be real over here, the effects of psychedelics, for the most part, with the exception of PCP, which it's one of those harsh chemicals, I would not recommend that one. I would say that they're statistically less dangerous than alcohol, tobacco, and diabetes.
Far less. I have done many psychedelics, and they're responsible for my being still alive. I would give them credit, at least, for that.
Look at what's been done with the veterans. Like, they've had some people who, like veterans, who've had PTSD episodes. They're given Molly or whatever the fuck that is, and they were fine. It was helping deal with their post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think right now we should be investigating that stuff. But
they are, and there's like a bunch of research being done on shrooms helping people. But the problem is, and this is what they always warn people with this stuff, is that you have to be very careful because some people's bodies handle it totally differently, and it can get really fucked up. So,
and you don't know where it's coming from either.
Can you show me
exactly
overdose to death on mushrooms? I'm
not talking about death though. I'm talking about severe mental inhibition. Like the guy from Pink Floyd, Sid. I'm already forgetting his last name.
Sid Barrett.
Sid Barrett, yeah.
Barrett, yep.
He got totally messed up from doing way too many psychedelics. And he was a mess. I mean, he was barely functioning and was just a total mess. So what I'm trying to say is the one thing I don't like is when people argue for for certain drugs being legalized as if they're totally harmless. I'm not saying you're saying that, but people can get the false impression of like when they say, well, nobody's died from weed. Well, that doesn't mean it's good for you, and that doesn't mean it doesn't do anything to you. You
Yeah,
know?
I know. You're absolutely. Go ahead.
How's it any different than alcohol? Like, I can't tell you how many people I've
Well,
seen.
because with
Yeah.
alcohol, you can have a drink at dinner and you don't get drunk. With like weed, you do it to get high, and everybody that does it gets high pretty much.
Most people like to get a little buzz on. You know, people don't just tend to
Yeah,
like.
but when you take a sip from a drink, or like if you have like a let's say a bit of wine at dinner, you're not gonna get drunk, and some people don't even get buzzed. Like it's
What's
different.
Hey, well, why is that different from a little bump of cocaine? I mean, cocaine does not last that long. 20, 30 minutes. That's less than alcohol.
But you still
I
get
mean,
the hit.
You eat some dinner. Well, sure, you still get the hit from alcohol, don't you?
No, not necessarily. It
no?
depends how much you drink.
Sean,
Okay.
though, you don't drink alcohol, though, do you?
No, but I know people that do, and I've seen people consume it, and they don't get drunk, or they don't really feel anything, and they'll tell me that. They're like, oh, it just tastes good, and that's it. Maybe a tiny, tiny, tiny bit.
They're lying to you. they're fucking lying. Sorry.
And that's
Cafe 210 West drinks hit differently.
Yes, Penn State reference for people out there.
That's their social moral obligation to be like, oh, no. I'm just, I drink this red wine because it tastes good with this steak.
Okay, let's be real here. If you like the fucking taste of wine and you don't care about the alcohol, you just drink grape juice. Okay.
No, I've heard that they taste different.
No, because
they taste very different.
Getting tipsy.
So, hot take about BLM.
Oh,
Let's
not
have
drugs?
A conversation about having a conversation.
What was
How
that?
about
Seems to be liking this shit.
Hot take. Let's have a conversation about having a conversation.
Whoa.
How does that work?
That's meta.
Well, you start the conversation with having a conversation about what you want to talk in the next conversation. To sort of, baby steps with them.
Okay, so hey,
Yeah.
So Coconut, I would like to talk to you in the future about the problem of white privilege. How would you feel about having that conversation with me? Okay. Yeah, hate to see it. God.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know.
So, LSD.
On Twitter, he hasn't replied yet, so
Doing?
I think he went to bed.
Listen, I think that from personal experience, psychedelics in particular, mushrooms and LSD, have been some of the most uplifting external things that have ever happened in my life. I didn't have a lot of the positive exterior role models, human wise, throughout my adolescent and developmental years, and psychedelics kind of became that inadvertently. And it took me beyond those experiences to realize it. It's not like I figured it all out right then and there, but they have effectively become teachers in my twilight years.
I've heard that actually from multiple people. Like Steve Jobs has said that, Scott Adams. That's where psychedelics, I think, at least have some sort of more, I don't want to say existential and sound all like pseudo-intellectual,
No,
but
that's perfect. That's a perfect description. It is it removes ego. It's like an out-of-body experience without the out-of-body experience.
Well, I mean,
in most
you have
cases.
to be careful with that, like
Yeah.
because every brain's wired differently.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
For some brains, it could expand the mind and take you to a different place, and for other people, it could totally fuck you up for the rest of your life. Like,
I disagree. I think. Well, no, I mean, I don't disagree that can happen. My disagreement is the rigidity of the mind going into it. Someone that takes it that's not open to the idea, open to openness in general, someone who is very rigid or closed-minded, they will have a bad time. You try to pizza when you should French fry, you're gonna have a bad time.
Hey,
To pull another
y'all,
South Park quote.
What's
did
up,
y'all see
Donnie?
the video I tagged y'all in with the burning building in response to the police killing in Atlanta?
Oh
What
shit.
is that? The Wendy's, or because there was a Wendy's that completely engulfed?
Oh, I don't know. I just see building. I don't know if it's Wendy's or not.
Probably is the
But it's a
Wendy's.
really huge
Probably
fire.
is.
It just posted 11 minutes ago.
Oh, I see it now. I see it.
Man, listen.
Someone should add Miss Firecracker on maybe for next week. So I'd love to have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
The opposite.
Burn some shit
We
down, but I love my spicy nugs and I love my
We
baconators.
definitely could.
Yeah, Miss Firecracker, if you want to have a conversation with us about it, join the Discord. The link's in the description. It's also on our channel. That's the best way to get on this. That's where you're seeing the little bubbles up there of us speaking. So
We
join
should have
that,
it
and
we should definitely have that next week. We should probably have that next week.
we can
Because
try.
Yeah. That's a good. It's a good conversation to have. Definitely.
Yeah, because I look, I bet people are already getting the impression I'm anti-drug, and that's true. I'm pretty anti-drug, but I am still open-minded to it, and I bet many people are of the other sides of the arguments on these things, because it's not. There's some issues that are simple. Free speech is fucking simple, but things like drugs, there's a lot of different opinions on drugs. Like,
Listen, Dex, what I don't think we disagree.
yeah,
But
exactly.
because you're drug free, and I am post drug addict. I think the difference is that the push for people to do it versus the push for people to have the ability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think people should have the ability to do whatever the fuck they want, but they should also have free access to the information as to what that's going to do to them. Real information, not propaganda. The information should be free, and if you look hard enough, it is now. But there's a lot of propaganda to wade through in a lot of these things, and there's a lot of opinions, and there's a lot of personal experiences that you can weigh. It's the same fucking thing with this racism bullshit. There is no doubt people that have dealt with racist fucking people in positions of power. I have literally no doubt that that has happened to probably thousands of people in my lifetime, maybe tens of thousands. I don't know, but I don't think there's no way you can convince me that the American system is rigged against anybody other than people that don't have money. Period.
Amen.
Going on sort of the, I guess,
information at Erowid.org. You know, if you want any information on drugs, I trust them over just about anyone else. They're pretty.
Who is this?
Erowid.org. It's a nonprofit. They'll tell you the straight facts, not propaganda about drugs.
Bro, I have been looking at Erowid since the internet was a thing. I mean, I'm serious. Probably 2007, 6, 5. I don't know. Erowid.com. Erowid.org.
But
It's
as I
legit.
was just sort of going on, you know, when it comes to substance abuse and dealing with, you know, these sort of, you know, materials and drugs, when it comes to, you know, having these sort of sensitive conversations with what's actually going on with them, I really think it is a hot take when I say that no political party should ever, you know, affiliate themselves with centers for, you know, rehabilitation. They should be their own separate entity. Like, they should not dabble in things of health. Like, just leave the professionals to do what they need to do. You shouldn't be, you know, campaigning on these people who have already had, you know, enough happen in their life. Like, you shouldn't be taking advantage of their position, calling them victims, and you're gonna help them. Like, that's never good.
Well, handing out victim cards is never good, and that's what's made me so passionate lately. I don't I have never met a black person that was victimized, and I have met many. I don't even care to think of a number because, as I mentioned earlier, I don't tend to see color. People are people. Most of my young adult life was spent in Oklahoma, which was quite diverse. But oh fuck, I lost my point again. Yeah, I lost my point. Somebody say something, please. Save me.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Words. Black Lives Matter. I can't breathe. No, I don't know, man.
I heard you were trying to say something, Alex.
Shit, one.
Don't tell me you forgot to.
Oh man, we're hitting that 3 hour.
It's spreading.
Yeah, the itis.
Yeah,
Donnie.
maybe we can say some nice things about Trump before we jump off here for his birthday. Like,
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go down the line. Donnie, you first.
I am thankful for Trump because
Is this Thanksgiving now?
I feel like it. Thank you, Trump. Okay, I'm gonna go with the wall because I do see why it's needed and why it affects people in this country and minorities. We're not just losing jobs that people don't so-called want. And I think the wall is going to do great things, protect us. I feel safer. And I live in Texas, so I know the wall is needed. So
yeah,
that's my
I would like to jump in next, and I would like to thank Trump for the First Step Act, which is now law, as well as the Schools Act, which I'm not sure if that's law yet. But for his proactive engagement in actual change in this country, actual change for American people. Period.
Sam, you want to go next?
I would like to thank Trump for basically destroying the mainstream media and revitalizing the conservative movement and helping to make it young and relevant and hip again and punk rock and really promoting free speech.
Death metal. Horns up all the way. Punk rock is bullshit.
Well, boo.
What kind of punk rock are we talking here?
Not necessarily like any particular band, but the idea of being a punk, the idea of being a rebel.
A rebel, yeah, okay.
And
Donald Trump is death metal. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank Donald Trump for rebuilding our military, because like when Obama left, he left that military incredibly depleted, at its lowest count maybe since the Civil War, and within a couple of years he's already returned it to the powerhouse it needed to be. So, and as a veteran, I truly appreciate that.
Alex?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, well, as your average American fucking citizen, I thank you for your service, soldier. Thank you.
Yep. Am I good?
Yep, Alex.
All right. Well, thank you, Trump, for bringing attention to the southern border wall and for your executive order on social media companies. I hope more about that soon.
I guess I'm the last one to go then. Oh, Nick.
Abolish 230.
Our coconut head dude. Do you have a thanking of Trump?
I'm fiddling with my microphone.
I can barely hear you, but I'll take that as I think you're busy with something. I guess so. Yeah.
I'm good again.
Oh,
It's
okay,
fiddling
cool.
with my microphone. But no, I would probably say, I mean, I'm thankful for a lot of things from him. He, you know, gave my dad his job back, which brought us out of unemployment. After Obama cut the space program.
Mm.
You know, very thankful about the border wall since I did live in Texas. But overall, I think what really mattered to me, at least for me, having previous service members in my family, was him being the first president ever to put up the Palmia flag underneath the American flag at the White House.
Fucking A, man.
I didn't even know about that. Well, I will say I'm thankful for a lot of things Trump's done. We've all mentioned the policies and that sort of shit. Like, you know, we all kind of agree on, like, the wall's great, drain the swamp's great, America first is great, ending these stupid wars, endless wars is great. He's hitting the marks that he needs to hit, and he's hitting them pretty well. Some things are going better than others. Some need a little help from Congress because of our system, and I'm very satisfied. And the cultural change, I think, is also very important too, and I'm thankful for him for that, and all the people that supported him, that were vocal supporters, that were on campuses, that were on TV, that were out there making memes, that really sort of changed the game. But on a more personal, what I'm really thankful for is that when Trump came into it, I mean, my whole life freaking changed. I know a lot of people can say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was very engaged with politics before, but I just got into college. I'd never been on campaigns before, never been in clubs before. I've met all these people here because of Trump. I have gotten in tons of fabulous, awesome moments and crazy fucking moments that I know you know about, Alex, because of Trump. And later on, I've become a TPUSA president at Penn State, and you know a lot about that, Phil, and it's all because of Trump, really. It's changed everything, and the way I look at things is totally different. I mean, even my career path really, literally forged because of him and Scott Adams. I'll give some credit to, too. Wouldn't have found Scott Adams without Trump. I mean, it's just so many parts have just changed, and I'd say that can be said for the rest of the country. The way we look at things, the way we look at news, the way we look at government, deep state, the way we look at foreign policy, the way we look at immigration, everything has just changed, and for the better, for the most part. I mean, there's some unintended consequences of force for change like him, but I mean, this YouTube channel partially is because of fucking Trump. I mean, the people we've had on were, you know, we've known because of Trump. Like you could connect everything back to him, and it's just insane to think about. And I mean, it may seem small, but it really is a big tree of many branches. So I'm just thankful for just the influence. I think if that's the simplest way, the TLDR we can put on this, it's just his influence is unbelievable. It's once in a lifetime, game changing.
Amen.
All right. That's
Well
it.
said.
Yeah, I honestly, that was the only answer I could give. But you know, but the other thing too is, if we want to keep this up, we gotta fucking vote for him in 2020. I mean, not 2020, I should say in November. It's a few months away, and we gotta rally the support. We gotta get out the vote. And one of the most effective ways you can do that is asking a friend who's a Trump supporter, which would be helpful. Just go, hey, did you remember to vote today? Gotta do it.
I think it's more about yeah. I'm not going to disagree with that, but
Find your friends
I
that
think
are on
it's
the fence and convince them.
I think
That
it's
too.
I think it's about converting your unfortunately simple-minded friend that's been confused by the media.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
we make. Hey, the thing with life is we make friends, we lose them, and everything in between. You know.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, you lose family too. I
Yeah.
mean,
You know. Hey.
Yeah. You don't got to tell me. I got.
Look at this. Look, and like, look, we created this thing, and look how many friends we've gained in the process. Like, this whole thing has been incredible. This whole thing has just been fantastic, and it makes me want to keep going. I already can't wait for next week. Like, that's how excited I am doing this.
Hopefully Donnie's got her mic set up next week.
Yeah.
Technical
Hey,
difficulties.
I do want to give a quick shout out in the chat to someone who is also special, an OG listener of the Whitfield Report for the past 2 years, which is Amethyst. So she's been a long time listener of mine, and I appreciate her joining in on the Savages / the Versa crew, whatever we're calling this. So she knows all about my song and everything else. So so thanks to all the Whitfield Report listeners for following me to the 11 o'clock show with all these guys. Usually I'm hosting solo on the Whitfield Report, but I appreciate you guys.
How dare you?
For my part, joining in with this Friday.
Yeah, we appreciate all of it.
What Apex? How did I trigger you now?
I am your sometimes co-host. Sorry, I was feigned outrage. I thought that was the thing nowadays, right? Outrage. That's not real.
You are my sometimes co-host. And you brought me Milker Nation, who
I mean, it's Milker Nation.
I think the last comment should go to Donnie.
Yeah, agree.
I love you
Say
guys.
something, baby. Ah,
we love you.
You guys are too
Good
nice.
night. Good night, everybody. I'm gonna bail.
Yeah,
I love you guys.
We're gonna close out as the cops and the other cops, it looks like, make a headway here on the highway. Hopefully things are calmer next week, but we'll catch you guys next time on our Real News Anarchy. I guess that's what we're calling it now, because that's what's fucking happened in this country. And we'll keep track of the Chaz in Seattle and any new that come up, but we'll see you again next time. Please like, share, subscribe, follow all these great people on their social media handles. I'll be posting in the description. I know I have to add a few there, but I will post them. Join the Discord. Do all that great stuff to stay involved, to keep up with this, and so the YouTube algorithm hopefully doesn't screw you over. We'll see you guys later, and as always, wash your fucking hands.
Later, Gators.
Peace.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Adios.